I have always been here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ambassadors, geeks, and all my friends out there in the internet sphere, and welcome to the Ambassadorial Wing. And welcome to another installment of the Ambassadors Director Spotlights. And this evening, we're going to cover a brand new director. Well, not a brand new director, but a brand new addition to the Director Spotlight, the one and the only Tim Burton. And everyone that is in the chat, Price is Right Reviews, and Ferris Fetcher. I hope I pronounced your last name right, Ferris. Gentlemen, good to see you both tonight. Hope you are having a good Monday night. I know I don't usually go live on Mondays, but I've got tomorrow off, and I figured, why the hell not? And for those of you that are in the chat or going to be coming in, I have pinned the link to the stream up at the top and everything of the chat. So if you want to join me this evening for the discussion, the link is there. By all means, you're welcome to come in and join me as we break down the film and career of Tim Burton. So that being said, we will begin. Tim Burton. This is a director who has had anything but a conventional career, which is often true with many of the directors I cover on my channel. But this is one that I have... Oh, okay. No. So, anyway, but yeah, Tim Burton. This is a guy I have had a lot of fond memories of, seen many of his movies. He is a icon of the 80s and 90s movie scene especially. He is a guy that really speaks to me in a lot of ways, and his film career is nothing if not impressive. I mean, this is a guy who's covered various subjects across the pop culture sphere. He's quirky. He's very much different. He stands unto himself in a lot of ways. And here is Price is Right.
What's happening, people? What's happening?
Good to see you, bud. How you
see you guys too.
And to the chat, George, good to see you as well. Tim Burton? Yes, Tim Burton. So, Price, good to have you with me this evening. So, just literally
I'll just continue your... I'll let you continue your montage. Go and tell us about Tim Burton.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Tim Burton? I mean, honestly, this is a guy who has had a very good film career. I mean, he's done a lot of really... He's done a lot of different franchises. He's done a lot of unusual films, you could say. He has very much a penchant for covering the more macabre, the more horror / quirky aspects of the film genre. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, go ahead, Price.
I was going to mention that I want to say more horror. He does his films more of a creepier kind of way when you think about it, with screenplay and writing. He does excellent writing, in my opinion, but yeah, he has a lot of more creeper kind of factor. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember the first movie of his I ever saw was actually Beetlejuice.
Me too. That's classic. It was a classic.
Well, the crazy thing was we used to have, or my mom still has, a VHS Beetlejuice. And I actually, now here's the crazy thing. Up until then, that was the only copy of Beetlejuice we owned was on VHS. Yeah. And honestly, when I used to work at McDonald's way back when, a friend of mine was like, what is your favorite movie? What is one of your favorite movies? I was like, there's a lot. She's like, well, your birthday's coming up. I was like, isn't it? I was like, yeah, it is. She's like, oh, I want to get you something for your birthday. I was like, well, but you don't have to. She's like, I know I don't, but I want to. She's like, what's one of your favorite movies? I was like, what's one movie you don't have? I was like, I don't have a copy of Beetlejuice. And she's like, okay. So around my birthday, she got me, her and a few other people at that McDonald's I used to work at. They've all pitched in. They got a cake, and she got me a copy of Beetlejuice. And I was like, thank you. She's like, you're welcome. I mean, it was like from out of the $5 bin, but I was like, I don't care. I was like, I gave her a big hug, and I was like, you don't know how much this means to me. I was like, I've been wanting this movie for a long time. And she's like, well, now you have it. I was like, and when I ended up leaving that McDonald's, I gave her a big hug again. I was like, you were an awesome friend. And I'm like, I'm going to miss you. She's like, I'm going to miss you too.
Well, then I got a first question for you then. Mm-hmm. You know how Tim Burton went from like the typical claymation concept to now CGI, real awesome effects. Imagine if he redid Beetlejuice today with all the CGI technology and the scare factors and stuff. Imagine the concept he would do to that. If Tim Burton did himself, yeah.
Yeah, if he did himself, but here's the thing about Beetlejuice in particular.
Yeah.
This was like one of his very first outings, and I honestly I think it would lose something if if he went back and redid the effects, because it had a very unique look with the style.
True.
Of what he did. So
true.
But
that's why I was going to mention, that's why I always figured about from Beetlejuice all the way to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He really upped his game when it comes to effects.
I love Charlie.
Yeah. And along with his effects, he kind of upped his game when it comes to visual effects. That's what I'm trying to say for his stories. Because his stories are more, like I said, creepier factor, but he added that CGI visual effects kind of, really tell the story in the best way possible.
Well, the crazy thing is with Burton, he took his first foray into using CGI effects with a 90s film that a lot of people kind of poo-poo on, but at the same time, I honestly love, and that's, of course, Mars Attacks. I love that movie. I do. I absolutely positively love that movie. Well, and think about it. This is actually this is a reunion for Nicholson and Burton, because if you remember, one of Burton's most well-known movies is, of course, Batman '89. Oh,
yeah, true. Mm-hmm.
So,
I was actually introduced to Tim Burton's work by Batman Forever with Tommy Lee Jones and Val Kilmer.
Well, here's the crazy thing. As I've done these, I've gotten a little more well prepared. I actually looked up Burton's filmography on IMDb. Do you know did you know he was born in 1958?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, August 25th, 1958. And I'll just run really quick through his filmography, and I'll do the producer, or not producer, but the director. He started all the way back with a little short film in 1971 called The Island of Dr. Angor. After the first three, the first 5 or so movies he ever did were like shorts. He did that one. He did Prehistoric Caveman, Houdini, The Untold Story, Tim's Dream, 1997, Stalk of the Celery Monster, King and Octopus animation, Doctor of Doom, Luau, Vincent, Hansel and Gretel, Frankenweenie, and this is one I did not suspect that he would have directed, Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious. He was the director of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I would have never pictured him doing something like that. And then let's see. That's when his career really started to pick off. Go ahead, Price.
Well, I was going to say, Pee Wee Herman's kind of creepy in his own right.
That's true. Let's see. He did one episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents in 1986. Fairy Tale Theater, one episode. Aladdin and His Wonderful Lamp, also 1986. Then we get into his movies. Beetlejuice, of course. Batman. Edward Scissorhands. Batman Returns. Ed Wood. A Visit with Vincent. Mars Attacks. Sleepy Hollow. Planet of the Apes. The World of Stain Boy, a TV mini short series. He did 6 episodes on that. He did, of course, Big Fish, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Corpse Bride, Cinema 16, The Killers, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, which we have on DVD, but I still have never watched.
You forgot one.
He did the live action remake of Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
This is one. Okay, this is the funny story, Ken. This just happened tonight. Mammoth Bastard has been trying to get me for, well, pretty much since we were either dating or married, to watch Dark Shadows with the one with Johnny Depp. I kept telling her no. But when I looked it up when I saw it on his IMDb, I was like, honey, did I just miss you telling me this? Tim Burton directed Dark Shadows. She's like, yeah, honey, he directed Dark Shadows. And she's like, you have refused to watch it. I was like, that's about to change.
You missed one of Tim Burton's most iconic films. Everybody loves Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah, it's actually, here's the crazy thing. It's not in his filmography though. Just to round it out, he did Big Eyes, Mrs. Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and of course he did the remake on Dumbo. But actually, here's the crazy thing. He was a producer on Nightmare Before Christmas, but not director. But I think you're right. I think he did direct it. Yeah,
like I said, Nightmare Before Christmas is probably one of the most, like, as far as kids are concerned, he's like the most iconic director for that movie for them. Good movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching the Batman films when I was a kid. I was like just so enthralled with the whole comic book superheroes. But now watching the Christopher Nolan versus that, it's like it's more cartoony right now, but it's still a classic film, the Batman series, Tim Burton.
Yeah. And to the chat, LDG of Geeks and Joy, LDG, good to see you this evening. LDG, I don't know if you're busy this evening and you want to talk some Tim Burton movies, but the link's up top. So, and thank you for being here tonight. Mm-hmm.
I can't have all the fun. Bring some other people on here.
Oh yeah. Hey George, how you doing, man?
What's happening?
Hey, how's it going, Ambassador? How you doing?
Doing just fine, George. How you doing?
What's happening?
I'm doing good. I was back in the theaters this weekend for A Quiet Place Part 2, and I was the only one in the theater.
You're kidding. Wow.
No, I went to see it by myself. I got great seats in the middle. It was a big Apex theater, and I was the only one, and it made the experience a lot more interesting because there were a lot of jump scares for me.
Cool. And we got another one in.
Hey,
you know him, you love him, Mr. Zach Leary. Zach, good to see you, bud.
So George, it really was it was a quiet place.
That's true, it was, but it made a fun, interesting experience.
Nice.
And I do want to send another shout to the chat. Ace Mowick. Ace, it is good to see you, and thank you for tuning in this evening. And I'll bring up his comment here. We haven't gotten to Sweeney Todd yet, but we'll get to it in due course. Weak point of Sweeney Todd: Depp doesn't have the right singing voice. Sounded like he was barking things out like Captain Jack, but I saw a recording of the play, so I'm probably being unfair. LOL.
Nice. I was going to mention one movie that he did that I thought I did pretty well. If he did the original one, but he did the prequel to it, was Oz the Great and Powerful. I thought that he did pretty well with that movie, in my opinion.
Actually, I really enjoyed Oz the Great and Powerful, but
yeah, the prequel.
Again, that's just me. Yeah.
That was him?
Yeah, that's Tim Burton.
Oh.
Let me double check because I don't think I saw it on his IMDb, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, because I think he might have produced it, but my point is that he'd be Wizard of Oz the film if he did a reboot of it. He'd be perfect for that.
Actually, Price, he wasn't a producer on that. Now, you might be thinking of Sam Raimi because Sam Raimi actually directed Oz the Great and Powerful, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I thought it was Tim Burton because it mentions the people who made the Alice in Wonderland series. I'm thinking, okay, Tim Burton. Huh.
Well, yeah, because it was produced through Disney. So, but here's the producer's credits for Burton, and there's a lot of overlap. But I will bring up a couple of ones that are kind of stand out, at least for me. This one's it's a short, and he was just a producer from 2013, Captain Sparky versus the Flying Saucers.
Oh wow.
That's funny.
He was actually a producer on Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
I'm not
No
surprised.
way.
Yeah, I've seen
No
that.
freaking way.
He was also producer on another one that I'm actually a huge fan of. I'm amazed I haven't done a review or watch party for it. It was just called 9. Does anybody remember that by
Yes,
chance?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, actually not. Yeah.
Oh, I never got
I
a chance to see that one.
George,
It's a
I
weird
think you would. It's a really cool film. There's actually been rumors floating around the internet for a long time that they've talked about doing a sequel to it, but nothing's come of it yet. He was producer on Corpse Bride, producer on the TV movie Lost in Oz, producer on Mars Attacks. He was producer on James and the Giant Peach, which I actually really like.
Oh,
Yeah, that was good.
I think they used the Jack Skellington claymation in James and the Giant Peach in one scene.
They used the stop motion. Yeah, they did everything. Stop motion was kind of his medium for a very long time, but like I mentioned before, Zach, before to Price, before Zach and George came in, for the longest time, stop motion was his key medium. But when he did Mars Attacks, he did transition over to CGI because he had made a comment. He's like, I could have done Mars Attacks, but it would have taken me 10 years. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it this way instead. Well, if you think about it, the sheer number of Martians that are present in every single shot, not to mention the flying saucers and all the other effect shots, it would have taken him forever. Not to mention, it probably would have looked very jarring between having to use visual effects and stop motion for the film. So he did decide it was better to just go with the CGI effects. And I know it's probably not one of his strongest films, but honestly, I do love it. I really do. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. So, George, Zach, your thoughts on any of the movies that we brought up so far, or any others that?
Well, I can just give my thoughts overall on him as a director.
Sure.
And it's very strange. Tim Burton is a big inspiration to me in a lot of ways. Some of his earlier work.
Oh yeah.
Particularly Batman Returns really inspired me in a lot of ways. But over time, I feel like he's gone downhill. It's been a shame to see it. But
he kind of has, yeah.
He seems to go for an overabundance of like ugly CGI. The visuals kind of got away from him.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. But then he comes back and he does a film like Big Eyes, right? Which is a great little film, right? So
yeah. I think now this is just my own perspective on this, and if you guys disagree, I think Burton got a little too infatuated with CGI, kind of like what Lucas did. I mean, think about it. There was a glut of CGI in the prequels, and a lot of people were kind of not thrilled with that. And I would say that there's kind of a parallel between Burton and Lucas in that aspect. But I think if you put Burton in the right project, he really does flourish and he really does thrive. He does. Yeah. I mean, I would say his good movies outnumber his bad ones. So, I mean, if you all disagree, that's cool. But I would say
it's hard to say. I mean, if you look at his filmography, everything what's his last great film?
Well, I mean, that could be a point of debate and everything, and I would say healthy debate. I would say, at least in my perspective, his last great film might have been Sweeney Todd. Other people might have said maybe Alice in Wonderland. Other might have said Dark Shadows.
So Sweeney Todd was in the 90s, right?
No, Sweeney Todd was 2007. I'm looking at his IMDb.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at his IMDb. I know that he did Dumbo, the remake. I never got a chance to see it. I wanted to, but I have not gotten around to.
Yeah, don't bother.
Don't see it.
No.
Was it that bad?
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah, it was it was a depressing nightmare.
That's a shame.
They're torturing poor Dumbo and shit. Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
that's a shame because I love I love the original. I mean, who doesn't love Dumbo? Of course,
a friend of mine took his daughter to go see the film, and the daughter started crying, and they had to leave like in the first 15 minutes. So there you go.
That's insane. Well, I think that's the one thing about live action Disney movies of any kind. When they try to make it live action, it takes away the emotional effect that some of the cartoons would have on us. That's why I didn't really like the live action Lion King. It just kind of went for realism, but sacrificed the emotional impact the cartoon had on us. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do agree about Dumbo. Yeah, I saw Dumbo, like, okay, realism is okay, but then, like you said, the realism kind of took away what made Dumbo special to all of us, in my opinion.
Well, so I like a lot of his stuff. I like Sleepy Hollow, for example. I think is a really good film. The Batman films, but then on the other hand, you have these disgusting nightmares like the Alice in Wonderland stuff, which just look visually appalling. Right.
I will say I do agree with you on that point, Zach. I did enjoy the movie, but I do understand what you're saying. So, because for me, I thought the story was good.
Well, the story is good. It's a classic story. I mean, that story will always be a good story. But you've got these disgusting visuals. You've got the queen with the giant head. It just was not for me.
That giant head was atrocious.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, Helena Bonham Carter is a very quirky and I think a very talented actress.
I agree.
But yeah, that was. Yeah, I will admit the CGI was kind of. Yeah. Okay. It was very cringe.
She gave a good performance, but the giant head just took away from it.
Yeah. Now, I will say, I think the one good visual effect in that film was actually the Jabberwocky. Of course, you've got the voice of Christopher Lee coming out of the Jabberwocky, which makes it instantaneously menacing.
Yeah. Yes.
So, but
it's like with. I did a podcast with I forget who it was, like a few months ago, and we were talking about Supreme Leader Snoke. And I said to him, I said to him, I saw the behind the scenes with Andy Serkis doing the performance without the CGI. And it's much better. Sometimes less is more.
That does not surprise me.
Why wouldn't he just be a human being, right? So if sometimes you can just go overboard and ruin a great performance.
Yeah, I agree. I have to wholeheartedly agree. And a quick shout to the Chad Geek Studios. Geeks, good to see you as always. Thank you for tuning in tonight.
Also,
Geeks, go ahead, Price.
I was going to mention some guy named Andrew's in the back room.
I know.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, I just didn't know if he was having any problems or getting in or something. I think he thought he was invisible.
No.
So anyway.
But
that's
honestly,
the point is leapfrogging off of what you said, Ambassador, is they covered up this tremendous actress with this giant head, right?
And I'll bring up Ace's comment here. Sleepy Hollow was Tim's tribute to the Held Hammer production horror films. Yes. And I'll say I did back during Halloween. I actually did a review of Sleepy Hollow because it is one of my all-time favorite Halloween-esque movies. I mean, I'll watch it any time of year, but honestly, I definitely got that vibe. I mean, you think about how many times Burton has worked with Christopher Lee. I mean, this was granted he only had a cameo in this movie, but it was a really great cameo. It was one scene, one and done. But to see Burton working with this old great Hammer horror movie veteran, it was a great thing.
He was like the judge, right? He was the judge.
Yes, he was the judge. He was the judge at the beginning.
Right. Well, I saw Chris Lee. He's done a few of those little cameos. I saw him in the Witch Hunter movie with Nick Cage, where he played the bishop. And he just has one scene there too.
Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Of course, some people have there's these silly fan theories that Christopher Lee is actually immortal. He's just going to go to sleep for 100 years and then come back fully regenerated. I mean, if you think just about Christopher Lee's life, just in general, I mean, the guy was a soldier during World War II. He was a spy. He could speak half a dozen languages. He was a fencer. He knew Tolkien. He had this great film career.
He was a Sith Lord.
He was a Sith Lord. He was a wizard. He was Dracula. I mean, you name it.
And wait a minute. And a heavy rock artist.
Yes, I know. I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about, Zach.
Wasn't he also a dentist from Tire Factory?
Yes, he was. He was Willy. He was Wilbert Wonka. He was Willy Wonka's father. And I will say this. I know some people have said that the Gene Wilder, Charlie, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is better. I say they're honestly, they both have their strengths. I love both of them. I mean, one's a musical, one is musical-esque, and they're both gorgeous. I mean, now granted, the thing about the remake that Burton did, it's more faithful to the Ronald Dahl book, especially with the art style and the story. But the Wilder version has its own strengths as well. But I do love the fact that they brought Burton in, or Burton decided to take on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and he did a great job. And honestly, I think Johnny Depp was just as good a Willy Wonka as Gene Wilder.
I agree. Yeah.
I have to wholeheartedly disagree. I'm shocked. To me, Johnny Depp and Tim Burton are like drug addicts, and they sort of help each other go too far, right? And they don't hold each other back. They don't restrain each other. They both go into this crazy, like insane place where it goes into being a hammy thing, right? And you've over the years they've gotten hammier and hammier, and what was that word we used last time to describe it? Schlocky, right?
Yeah, that was the word you brought up. Yeah, I would agree. But, as you said, schlocky can be a good thing, and sometimes schlocky can be a bad thing, and I would agree. Personally, his performance as Willy Wonka didn't bother me. I actually thought it was quite unique. I thought it had some really interesting beats to it. And I like the fact that at the end, he got what he was always looking for. Granted, he had it the whole time. He had a family. But I kind of like the message of the movie. So, and of course, I love Deep Roy as all the Oompa Loompas.
Well, it has its positives. The new one, I think the Dr. Wonka stuff is really good. I think the grandparents and the family is much better in the new one. Mm-hmm. But Gene Wilder to me is just as tremendous in the first one.
Wholeheartedly, I agree.
Yeah, I love the original Willy Wonka. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. But I don't mind the remake at the same time, because I think the remake also does some things to differentiate itself from the original, while at the same time being respectful compared to other remakes. At least, like compared to other remakes, it's a lot well made compared to other remakes.
The one thing that'd make it more awesome if the remake on Oompa Loompas actually did the Oompa Loompa song. Oompa Loompa,
for me, Johnny Depp took it too far. For me, he sunk the film.
As we've discussed before, all opinions here are welcome. So, and to the chat, the irregular Neil, good to see you, bud. Hey, Neil, if you're wanting to join us, link is in the chat, so you know what to do.
Sweet.
I will say this about Tim Burton. When I was starting to get into film as a preteen and a teenager, he was the first director I would follow based off his films, like follow films based off the director kind of thing. Like if it was a Tim Burton film, I'd automatically go to it. I remember besides like Batman and Batman Returns, one of the earlier films was Beetlejuice. That's like my favorite Tim Burton film.
Oh yeah, same here.
Like I've probably seen that film like so many times. It's a much watch around Halloween.
Oh yes.
And Sleepy Hollow, I enjoy Sleepy Hollow. It's taken me a while to kind of understand Sleepy Hollow, because when I first watched it, I was confused, but at the same time, I wasn't paying attention half the time. But once I paid attention, I got the gist of it. Edward Scissorhands, another great one that he did.
Yep.
And I know you said you didn't see Sweeney Todd. I've seen it a couple times. It's actually pretty good. I'm surprised how much I enjoyed it.
Well, it's one that we own on DVD. I just have never gotten a chance to get around to watch it and everything. And honestly, now that I'm kind of talking about Burton, I kind of want to visit some of the movies of his I've never seen, like as Mamma Bastard has been bugging me since, well, for the last roughly 6 years. And I know she can hear me right now. She's just in the other room. I'm going to give Dark Shadows a chance. I'm definitely going to check out Sweeney Todd, because I like musicals. Here's the crazy thing. when it comes to musicals, I'm kind of particular. I don't like the syrupy, saccharine type of old school musical. Like, say, I'm probably going to commit a bit of movie or cinema heresy when I say this. I don't care for musicals like, say, Sound of Music, but I do love like musicals that were done after it and more modern ones. Say, for instance, Chicago and
That's a good one.
Moulin Rouge. I love musicals like that. And there are other musicals. I just can't think of any of them. I've actually talked about off and on over the last few months or anything about doing a stream just on musicals.
Well, the only music I ever actually will watch and enjoy, because I read the books several times, was Name Is a Rob with Russell Crowe.
Oh, I love that one too. I do. I love that. Yeah. The crazy thing is, some friends of mine in college introduced me to Les Mis, and I was like, I love this movie. I didn't know I needed this movie in my life, but I love it. I do. Oh, yeah. I love Les Mis. I do.
I liked it because it's like it's not just based on an original story, but it's also I'm a big fan of like redemption stories, like Jean Valjean kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
I think the well-placed music and the way the approach they did is like spot on. So that's the only music I should respect. Because I'm not much a musical fan myself, but that one particular instance is Les Mis. Yeah, that's the one musical I'll watch all day long. So
yeah, I have to agree. But kind of get back on topic with Burton. I know he went through a phase, or especially early in his career, where he did a lot of stuff that dealt with death, and it's still something that's come across throughout his career. But he always seems to have a penchant for covering the more macabre or the more gothic type of story. And honestly, that's something that I've always appreciated about him. I mean, if you look at his early work, like say with Edward Scissorhands and especially Beetlejuice and Corpse Bride and several other films. I mean, even with
Nightmare.
Oh, for heaven's. Yeah, so with Batman to a certain degree, he's always had a penchant for covering stuff that deals with death. Oh, Frankenweenie, that was the other one. The Corpse Bride and Frankenweenie were two that always dealt with the themes of death and mourning and everything. And I honestly, I really appreciated that and everything. So you fellas, your comments on that. But just real quick, I want to send a shout out to the chat. Leroy Kong, Leroy, good to see you. A recent subscriber to the channel. Appreciate you being here tonight.
What's kind of interesting about the Tim Burton and Gothic, I used to think The Crow was a Tim Burton film because it came out around the height of him, but then I realized it wasn't him. But yeah, he's always had that Gothic, dealing with death thing. And I remember his Batman films, Batman Returns, Gotham was the most Gothic out of any other Batman series. He made Gotham look the most Gothic.
That's true, yeah.
Well, particularly Batman Returns, because Batman 89 is Burton and the studio's vision. Batman Returns is Burton's vision. So he took it, and one of the few times where he amps it and goes more, and I think turned out better than the first one, at least for me.
I was gonna mention mine real quick about the whole Gothic thing. I think he did another kind of way of doing it when he did Big Fish. He went the opposite direction. So just having mourning and Gothic kind of thing, but he went the more heavenly, more I'm ready to die. I'm ready to have peace with myself. So I like how I did kind of a 180 on Big Fish. Instead of focus on mourning and death and stuff, but they kind of focus on what is life. How to make yourself better in life, kind of thing.
Well, that's a great film too. I mean, Albert.
Yeah, Big Fish. Yeah. For me, Big 180 of say Nightmare Before Christmas or something like that.
Yeah, no, I was looking at his filmography. I believe for me, that's his last great film was Big Fish in 2003.
I never got a chance to see that one. I gotta watch it one day.
It's a good one, man.
See, it's kind of the opposite of a Gothic real death theme kind of thing. It's so based on death because like I said, the father is dying in the movie, but it's more of a positive way. I would say a positive spin on death. If you figure that way.
It's essentially a love story.
Yeah.
But you've got all this fun stuff. You've got crazy characters. There's a circus involved where you've got a man who I think is like 20 feet tall. It's got that weird Burton stuff. You've got him and DeVito working together again. You've got
Danny DeVito. That's fun. That guy's fun.
Helena Carter in the film. So yeah, good cast, good story.
Yeah, honestly, that's one I have never seen, but I've heard good things about it. It has a really good cast, and this is going to incentivize me to check out that film. So, and hey, Leroy and Ferris, I don't know if you caught me saying it. If you're just lurking in the chat, you don't feel like joining tonight, that's cool. But the link is up above. It's pinned in the chat. So if you want to come on and talk Burton with us tonight, the invitation is there. So, yeah, honestly, as many of Burton's films I've seen, there are just as many that I have never seen. And I feel like I need more Burton in my life. Even if I watch one of his movies and I feel like it's not one of his best, I will be glad that I have watched it. And the thing is, and George, Price, Zach, you've all brought it up, his movies are highly rewatchable. They're highly
absolutely, especially around Halloween.
All right, that's it.
Some of them are. Yeah. I think he went downhill. I think, he jumped the ship with these big CGI films, and it's I just can't follow him down that path.
And that's fair, but the thing to remember, Zach, is even if you feel like he's gone downhill, he's still got a lot more movies in his back catalog that you can go back and revisit, or even if you've never seen, and some that you've never seen.
Well, so. I don't think he's lost it, right? I just think he's gone down a path that I don't agree with, and that's something with every artist, right? Is they'll go and do like your favorite band, mm-hmm. they'll put out 3 or 4 bangers that you love, and they'll go and they'll try something else for a while, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how I see it.
That's good. That's a fair point, in my opinion.
And hey, here is Leroy. Good evening, Leroy. Good to see you.
Yeah.
How's it going?
I won't stay long. I'm just saying hello.
Hey, Leroy, stay as long as you like. Anything you're more than welcome to. So glad to have you on tonight, and welcome to the Ambassador Wing. I know this is your first time here, so glad to have you. Yes. Glad to have you with us. So,
finish talk. I didn't mean to disturb you guys. Finish talk.
No.
I was just going to say, your thoughts on Tim Burton, his films, some of your favorites, what you think of his career, what he's done with his movies, and so on. So your thoughts. The floor is yours.
I think he's a legend, and I think all of his movies are good, especially Batman and Batman Returns. Mm-hmm. All of his films are good, in my opinion. He's a great director. He was everybody's enemy when he casted Michael Keaton, but Michael Keaton is a great choice for Batman. He cast Michael Keaton, and he was good. So that's how I see.
Yeah, he was.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, I know a lot of people will say that by far their favorites of Tim Burton's career is Batman and Batman Forever, or Batman Returns. And fun fact, he did have a producer's credit on Batman Forever, but unfortunately he didn't direct. Schumacher did.
Thank God. They tried to force his hand with the third one.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, the thing that drives me nuts is, as it says in my Twitter bio and also on my I think it's on my Instagram, release a Schumacher cut. I want Batman Forever.
Do you really? I said, is that a joke?
What, the Schumacher cut?
Yeah.
No, there's been rumors about it. Like, there's apparently a 2-hour, 50-minute cut. Apparently.
Listen, I think what Schumacher should do instead is jump off a bridge.
You do realize that Schumacher is dead, right?
He's passed away. May his soul rest in peace.
Oh, is he?
Yes,
he already did.
Cancer. Died of cancer.
Yeah. Yes. He's unfortunately no longer with us, Zach. So
I thought
you might want to retract that.
I'm not going to retract it. I thought he was a hack.
Oh,
yeah, but we don't.
So. I don't think so.
Zach,
that's my opinion.
Zach, we don't speak ill of the dead here. So please don't.
I didn't.
Never you met said. Him. regardless of whether or not you met the man, Zach, he is no longer alive. He died of cancer. Please don't speak ill of the dead.
So you want me to say I liked the film?
No, you don't have to say you liked the film, but just don't speak ill of the dead. It's disrespectful.
All right.
Maybe he didn't know that he had passed. I don't know.
I did not. First of all, I didn't know he was dead. But
Okay.
I didn't like his take on Batman at all.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. I like Edward Scissorhands with Tim Burton. Edward Scissorhands was good. And Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was good. Yeah. Sleepy Hollow. He directed Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow was good as well.
Yep.
Yes. Many other movies.
I was gonna ask the same question I asked Ambassador. If Tim Burton were to remake the Beetlejuice film with all this CGI today, would you guys go watch that? So I
can't say I would, honestly. But guys, you're Leroy, Zach, George, your thoughts?
I would watch it. Yeah. I think the CGI would look a lot better now because things get more advanced now. And if people are around, it would be better. It would be good.
Well, I hear they're doing a second one. Right, I thought they were doing a second one.
It is on his IMDb. They has been announced, but there hasn't been much else in regards to it. So,
well, I asked the Ambassador about this question because we've seen the original one. It seems like claymation, old school, cheesy effects. But imagine if he did it today with all the new CGI and visual effects he does now today. How differently the Beetlejuice would look. I wonder. And since we're not making a sequel, so it should be interesting what the CGI will look compared to the original one. You know.
Okay,
that's why I was kind of curious if you guys would. That's all I'm saying. Where'd you guys go see a rebooted Beetlejuice? That's what I'm trying to say.
I would see it. I'd watch it. That's my opinion. I'd watch it.
Honestly, as good as the first one is, I don't want to reboot. Now, if he wanted to do a continuation, if he wanted to do a sequel, okay, I would be open to that. I would be open to that, most definitely. But as far as as a full-on sequel or as a full-on reboot, no. I don't want a reboot of the original. I like the original as is. It has a timeless quality to it, and I think part of the aesthetic to that film is the stop-motion animation that they do use, the special effects makeup that they use, and so on. The miniatures work, and so on. Honestly, that for me is what makes Beetlejuice timeless. It's what makes it unique and what makes it really a standout film. So that's the thing I like about. That's the thing I like most about Beetlejuice, and that's the thing I like about.
I would go see it if it was a sequel. If it was a remake or a reboot, it would most likely be one and done for me because I love the original Beetlejuice, and that's like a film that's hard to like top if you're going to try to reboot it. I would rather see a sequel with the updated special effects.
I think it's better to do a sequel. Do a sequel to the original. It would be a lot better, And Tim Burton do it, Make a good story.
I believe they're doing a second one. It's called Beetlejuice 2 on his IMDb.
I just mentioned that and everything just a minute ago, Zach. He has got executive producer credit on his IMDb for Beetlejuice 2. It has been announced, but as far as any other motion on it, I haven't heard anything. And the Stitch Cafe. The Stitch Cafe. It's been a very long time since I've seen you, Madam Geek. Good to see you. Question: what if Tim Burton redid The Wizard of Oz? I don't. That's the thing with Wizard of Oz.
Did he direct Oz? I think he directed Oz.
No,
Sam Raimi. Oz the Great Powerful.
That was Sam Raimi. That wasn't. That wasn't Tim Burton.
Okay,
no, it's okay. So, I don't. If he did like an adaptation of Wizard of Oz, where it maybe was a little more faithful to the books, I would be open to. I would definitely be open to that. Sure, but as far as a
my question then my question would be: would the Great Wizard have a big head too?
Bryce, that's a good question.
You're going to say something. Say something. Talk, man. You were going to say something, Ambassador, and you stalled.
As far as I think honestly, I would be okay if he did like an adaptation of the original story, where maybe, like I said, it was more faithful to the original book, or maybe if they gave him the chance to come in and do the entire series, where it was him doing adaptations of the books, kind of like what Jackson did with Lord of the Rings. I mean, because let's be honest here. I mean, I know Zach would probably make this comment that Wizard of Oz is kind of a dead franchise or an inactive franchise. I think Burton would be the right person to put in charge of that. I mean, especially if you put him around the right people, where he doesn't go to where they kind of rein him in on his CGI mania. Like like Tim, let's do practical, because here's the crazy thing. I mean, we're in 2021 and you're seeing a lot more movies going back to using practical effects. I mean, there is still CGI work that is being done and so on. But at the same time, there needs to be a balance. And I think if you gave Burton a little more, if you had Burton be a little more restrained, but not restrained in the terms of his creativity, but restrained in how he employed technology and effects, I think he would do a really good job at adapting the entire series of the Wizard of Oz books. Because if you think about it, Wizard of Oz is a very out there story. Let's be honest. And I think he would be a really good fit for a world like that. I mean, I know some people very much deride it, and we kind of talked about Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass, and I never went and saw Alice Through the Looking Glass. We have it on, I think we have it on Blu-ray or something here at home, and I might actually give it a chance to see, because I did enjoy the first one a great deal. I actually went and saw it in 3D, and I thought it really popped in 3D. I know that's I know that maybe I know some people may say that's cliche or whatever, or a gimmick, but I thought Alice in Wonderland in 3D was actually really fun.
Well, one film I forgot about, I don't know if you did it or not, was the Nutcracker. Did you do the Nutcracker reboot?
No, I don't think he did.
Oh, okay.
It's not on his IMDb, and IMDb is pretty reliable.
Yeah, I was thinking about different movies with the same effects that Tim Burton would use. Yeah, I kept thinking Nutcracker, the Alice in Wonderland films. Yeah, if he did the whole Wizard of Oz thing, I think that'd probably be his best work, in my opinion. His pride work.
Well, that's the fear, though, Ambassador. The fear is that he would turn it into another giant CGI $100 million budget film, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say Wizard of Oz is a dead brand. I would say it's a classic, right? That's a big difference. It is a classic.
Okay.
So the fear is when you take a classic, right? And it seemed to have happened with Oz. It may have been okay, but it wasn't comparable to the first one. When you have a classic, the concern is you may dilute what made the original powerful. Like if you go back and you do another Citizen Kane, right? That would just be a nightmare. But if Burton wanted to do a Wizard of Oz, I would recommend he do Return to Oz. Would be probably a really good fit for him.
Well, actually, here's the crazy thing, Zach, and I don't know if any of you guys know this or not, but they actually did, I think in the 1980s, they did a movie adaptation of Return to Oz. I actually remember going to see it with Mother Ambassador. Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did see it, and that's why I say he would be a good fit for it.
Okay. Well,
right, that was more his style. Would you agree? The second one?
Yeah, I think he would be a good fit, but he didn't have anything to do with that movie. I don't remember who even did the Return to Oz movie, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's on Disney Plus. I'll have to look.
Well, it's
one of my friends caught it last year. He says it's on Disney Plus.
Is it? Okay.
Well, it's creepier than the original.
It is a lot creepier, which actually fits. I have never actually read any of the Wizard of Oz books, but I think. Hold on one second. I gotta mute myself.
He's arguing with his wife. No.
No, I wasn't arguing with my wife. I was talking to my wife. She does have she has all but one of the Wizard of Oz books, and they were all signed by the author's son.
I'm just giving you a hard time, Ambassador. Just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You got some.
Oh yeah, that's pretty awesome. The funny thing is that I've never seen Return to Oz before, so I'm not gonna check it out myself.
It's weird, man. It's a weird movie, and it's creepy.
It is. It's
like a dark fairy tale. It's like a
some creepy destiny.
I gotta watch it one of these days.
Well, it's scary. It's kind of scary. I mean,
it is. But I actually,
do you remember those? What were they called? The rolly guys on the roller skates?
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I remember those. They were really creepy.
Yeah, It kind of seems right up Burton's alley. That movie. I would give him that over the Wizard of Oz. I'd give him Return to Oz. Would be a good.
Well, Return to Oz is within the Wizard of Oz universe, so
he would do both of them. He would do good in both of them, in my opinion. He fits to do both of them.
Oh, thank you, Stitch Cafe. Yeah. The Wheelers.
Yeah.
Wheelers.
Yeah.
Well, but it was never a mainstream movie, if I recall, right? It was never a big hit.
It wasn't a big hit, but I mean, like I've talked about on here on my channel, 1980s was a decade where movie studios took a chance on a lot of different projects, and oftentimes those projects didn't often pan out or do well, but they grew a cult following in the years after. Yeah. And everything, and that's Return to Oz is one of those films that has a cult following. It may not be a very big cult following. I don't know for sure. If it has a Reddit page, it probably has a following. And pretty much anything. Hey, say again, Zach.
I like it. I take something from it for sure.
Well, and to kind of steer us back on to the topic, Burton very much has done in his career the dark fairy tale throughout a lot of his stories. I mean, if you think about it, with Corpse Bride, with Frankenweenie, with
several of them. Several of them. A lot of them.
Okay.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Well, Charlie and Chocolate Factory is the one Tim Burton did. Willy Wonka is the old 1970s musical with Gene Wilder. He has really delved into like the dark fairy tale, the very macabre, the very gothic aspect of movie making. I mean, if you look at one of his films, I think it's actually one that he won an award for or an Oscar for, and that was Ed Wood.
Oh my God! I mean,
he did Alice in Wonderland. Tim Burton did Alice in Wonderland. He did Alice in Wonderland. Tim Burton.
Yeah, he did the remake. He did the live action remake of Alice in Wonderland. But yeah, Ed Wood. Ed Wood is one of those I have never seen.
Oh my God!
Ed Wood is a classic. Yeah.
Ed Wood is great.
Great.
That's what I've heard from frankly everyone I've ever talked to. That's brought up Ed Wood. I mean, this was Burton. I mean, I think in a lot of ways this was Burton paying homage to one of his idols, and honestly, I can see why, because I've looked at some of Ed Wood's movies and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like Tim Burton saying, Ed Wood, you are my hero. You are the reason why I got into the film directing business. And seeing Johnny Depp portray this over the top film director, but at the same time, from what I understand, Ed Wood was really like that in real life.
Yes.
Right. Well, the film he made was a huge bomb, right? So that's kind of what the movie's about. He's kind of washed up. He meets Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi is a character in the film, and they become buddies. Bela Lugosi is going and checks himself into a mental hospital. Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Well, I'm about to take out because my phone's almost dead. So you guys have a good night.
Take care.
It's always a pleasure. You take it easy, bud.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you.
So,
another thing about Tim Burton, we bring up Johnny Depp. a lot of the same people that he's worked with for years, like, are always in his films. Not just Johnny Depp and Helena Carter. Like, Winona Ryder's been in plenty of films. You know, sometimes Alan Rickman, rest in peace, God bless his soul. Michael Keaton. Yes. So, like, he's got a relationship with, like, a lot of these actors to continue to appear in his films.
Very true. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Burton has a very good reputation. He's one of those directors who has maintained a good reputation in the entertainment industry, who actors and actresses and even producers and so on and studios want to work with, because he has maintained a positive, good reputation. He's kept his, to use an old phrase, he's kept his nose clean. He hasn't done anything scandalous or skeezy or this is going to sound punny, but it works. He hasn't done anything Whedonish.
Well, I think the fear with a guy like Burton, who is really an artist, is going mainstream, right? Is he used to do these beautiful little art films, like Edward Scissorhands, and we can name a bunch of them. Beetlejuice is a little art film too, to a certain extent, and I would say the Batman films are art films, even though they're big budget. But
yes,
the fear for a guy like that, who is an auteur, is when you give him a movie that does $1 billion in sales, what does that do to an artist?
I think sometimes it kind of starts to pigeonhole them into giving them a persona of giving their persona that other studios are going to go, ooh, this guy made this studio $1 billion. Let's see if he can make us $1 billion too. And unfortunately, it can cause, like you say, the auteur director to become, like you said, more mainstream. And I think any auteur director or actor or whatever the case, or any type of artist like that, you don't want to see them lose their edge. And as much as I love some of Burton's more, what I would consider more mainstream films, I love all his work. Good, bad, or whatever. I can always find something good within any one of his movies. And I understand what you're saying, Zach, and I honestly cannot say I disagree. I don't want to see these great directors go down a road where they lose their reputation for being someone that does work that's very cutting edge and very unique. But I also I don't mind seeing them play in these playgrounds that are more well known. I mean, I would love to see them keep that balance. I would love to see them keep being the auteur, being the kind of risk taker filmmaker that's willing to put their neck on the line to do these really oddball and unique films. But I also want to see them bring that same vision to these more well-known universes. Say, for instance, with the two Batman movies that he did. I love Batman '89. It is by far one of my all-time favorite movies. And it's because of Burton, it's because of Keaton, and it's because of Nicholson. Just saying.
Studio. In that one, the studio pulled Burton back a bit.
Yeah. That I wasn't aware of because I haven't been able to do a whole lot of homework on the production of Batman '89. I'm just looking at it from the seeing it what's in front of me and interpreting that. But I wasn't honestly aware of that.
That was one of those movies that it's like. Did you ever hear about Burton's Superman? Did you ever hear about that with him and Nick Cage?
I did. I just recently, I was on a stream where someone did bring that up. I was actually with Leroy on that particular stream. I wasn't even aware that Burton had been approached to do a Superman film, but honestly, I wouldn't want him to. That's not his work.
The screenwriter, did you hear who the screenwriter was? It was Kevin Smith. Yeah, exactly.
I think I know what you're talking about. That's the one with Nicolas Cage with the Superman suit.
Exactly. It was called like Superman Reborn or something like that.
Superman Reborn. Yeah, like I said, I just recently heard about that on another stream that I was a panelist on.
That's one of those things that's interesting. Is I don't think a studio necessarily has to approach a director, but a director can come to them with one of their properties and say,
"That's true too.
Hey,
yeah.
I'd be interested in maybe developing something." Or maybe the studio meets with them and says, "Hey, here's our properties. Is there anything that's interesting to you?"
Yeah.
Right. So those things can happen. And I think they
yeah.
approached Burton and said, "So here's a list of some of our stuff. Is there anything that looks good?" Right. So,
okay. Yeah. And both things do happen. I do understand that directors do oftentimes go to studios. That's how we got Star Wars. Lucas approached half a dozen studios and finally got one that would work with him. But go ahead.
With 89, though, what got that really going and turned that into a real movie was them hiring Nicholson. When Nicholson signed on, everything started falling into place.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Ferris brought this up. The movie was, or the project was called Superman Lives.
Yeah.
So, honestly, as I'm not the biggest Superman fan. I mean, I do like the character and so on, but he's not my all-time favorite superhero. But as far as Tim Burton being connected to something like that, he just doesn't have that. He doesn't have that feel. So,
I agree.
And
I agree.
And to the Stitch Cafe, you have a good night, madam. Good to see you, and hope to see you again soon. So, thank you for popping in tonight, and give my best to the hubby. So, anyway, yeah, honestly, Burton has always gravitated towards the more unconventional story. He has done mainstream projects. We all know this here.
Yeah.
And it's not that I have a problem with him doing more mainstream work. I mean, but I would love to see him. I know he's not exactly young anymore. I mean, he was born in 1958, for heaven's sake. But I would love to see him in his golden years, or however many more years he's going to be doing directorial work. I would love to see him get back to his roots, doing more smaller projects.
Well, did you see Big Eyes? Did you see that?
Absolutely.
I have not heard. I mean, I've heard of it, but I have not had a chance to see it. But
did you see Django? Did you see the movie Django?
I did. Was that one of his?
No. But Django with Tarantino's Django, right? Have you seen that?
Yes, I have. You're talking about the lizard that was voiced by Johnny Depp?
No, not Rango. DJANGO.
Oh, Django Unchained.
Yeah, exactly.
Unchained.
Yeah, I have seen parts of it, but I have not seen the whole thing.
Jamie Foxx was in it. Yeah,
well,
she's cool.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the guy in Django who's the bounty hunter dentist is the main guy in Tim Burton's Big Eyes, who is a great actor, Christoph Waltz.
Yes.
From Inglourious Bastards.
Waltz is.
Yeah, from Inglourious Bastards and Django.
Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay.
Hello.
And hey, Geek, good to see you, bud.
Hello, Geek.
Hello. Your better half was here just a while ago.
Yeah, she was. Unfortunately, I've been taking a steroid the last 2 days to combat this poison ivy. Oh. And it's this prednisone is no joke.
I can imagine.
Really, really high up there on the jitters, and then there's a crash. So.
Well, dude, good to see you again. Glad you could pop in for a little bit. Well, you know the topic, Tim Burton. So we're talking his films, talking his career, talking what maybe hope we'd like to see him do in the next few years, and just our thoughts in general on his career. So the floor is yours.
Well, he's done one of my daughter's favorite movies, The Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, that is
my favorites.
Great film.
That is,
absolutely.
My daughter really loves. I mean, she has some Christmas decorations for it. A lot of times we'll a lot of times when Christmas rolls around or Halloween rolls around, I'll find some new decoration for it. When I went to the retro toy store, when I told you about the parking lot sale I went on, I found a really nice Pumpkin King and his girlfriend, bride. I was able to find two very nice toys of them, so I bought them for my daughter.
Oh.
And she quite enjoys it. Yeah. Tim Burton, I got to be honest with you guys. He is hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For example, Edward Scissorhands, very fun. 1989's Batman, definitely. And then Batman Returns being very, very dark, which freaked a lot of people out, which is it's hilarious now when you think about Batman Returns. It's almost very, very light on the dark scale compared to what we get nowadays. But, back in 1991, 92, it was, that wasn't the theme they were going for back in the 90s.
No, that's why they brought Joel Schumacher on, because it was too dark for the kids.
And I feel bad about what I said about him. So I retract a couple of things, but I didn't like him as a filmmaker. So that's all I'm going to say. But I feel bad. I did not know the scenario with him. But I got to say, I agree totally with Geek. And he and I share the exact same opinion on Tim Burton. He's done some of the best films ever made, but he's done a lot of these stinkers. Big CGI ones too, which is not for me.
I will say one of the ones that I went to see that I will never see again, that is one of his, Planet of the Apes.
Oh,
absolutely. God. That was garbage.
And the sad part is, I'm sorry, Ambassador.
No, go ahead, Geek.
The sad part is, good cast, good makeup effects, good acting effects. I mean, the way they did the apes and everything in that movie was really good. Unfortunately, the story was just the story had so much potential, and it just went to hell in a handbasket. That was not one of Tim Burton's finer hours.
It was bad in like a lot of ways. I mean, you mentioned the production design, which whoever said that was totally right. It's got a great production design, but
that was Geek.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you're right on that. Good production design, good costumes, good everything. Aside from just the pacing, the storyline, and some of the choices, right? Just sort of sunk.
Unfortunately, yes.
But yeah, I agree with you. There's some good elements in that, but overall, it's not something I would ever revisit. I prefer the new ones.
Okay.
And the original.
I have not seen the new ones yet.
It's kind of funny.
Pretty good.
I saw the newer Planet of the Apes films. Then I saw Tim Burton's film before I saw the original. Like it was the newer ones first, then Tim Burton's, then the original.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that happens.
But I love the newer ones. The newer ones are fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, how about Burton and the original? Which one did you like better, George?
Which one was that?
Was the Tim Burton or the first one?
The first one I thought was a lot better. I do like older movies. I'm a young guy, but I love older movies, so I prefer the original Planet of the Apes over Tim Burton's.
Yeah,
so you prefer Charlton Heston?
I think most everybody would.
I think most everybody would agree. Charlton Heston definitely the better of the.
Yeah.
It's more interesting, right?
I enjoy Tim Burton's one as well. I enjoy Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes as well. Both of them are good to me.
Okay.
What about who played Caesar?
Oh my God!
Andy Serkis.
And I know his name.
Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's a great actor. I'm drawing a blank on his name now.
Who? Andy Serkis. Yeah.
No, not Andy Serkis. I'm talking about going back to the Charlton Heston era.
Oh, who
the one who
played
played Caesar in the Charleston Heston era?
Roddy McDowell.
Roddy McDowell.
Thank you.
Roddy McDowell. Oh, Roddy McDowell.
Because crazy thing is, he played the father, Cornelius, and he played his own child. He played his own offspring. He played Caesar.
Caesar.
Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So
now you got me thinking, Ambassador. I need to see if they have a box set of the original Planet of the Apes series.
They do. I guarantee you. You can find it on Amazon. I would bet money.
Around 5 or 6 of them. 5 or 6 of them. 5, I think.
There were 5 in the original run back in the 70s. There was just the one that Burton did, and then there was the 3 that Matthew Reeves did. And
Wow,
I know a lot of people
5 of the originals.
Yes.
What?
It was Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from Planet of the Apes,
Several of them, yeah.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and Battle
Conquest.
for
Conquest.
Okay. It was Conquest and War for the Planet of the Apes.
Wow,
that was the
crazy.
5th and final one.
I wasn't even aware of those. I've only seen the original one from those bunch. But
I actually think the ending, the actual complete ending from beginning to end, is actually the final shot of the very last episode. And I don't mean episode, I'm sorry, I mean movie, is really beautifully done. And it's just, it's a recap of everything. It's a recap of the story. You're seeing the humans and the apes together. And then there's the statue of Caesar. And it's a statue, and there's a tear coming down it. Now, I'm not spoiling anything for you, but that is the final shot. And for it to get to that point, to have the meaning it has, you'd have to watch the whole thing.
I may have to check that out. I wanted to read some of the names just who played the ape characters. I mean, you just had such a tremendous cast in the Burton one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Wahlberg, you had Helena again, right? But Tim Roth is one of the best.
Oh, yeah, as Gerald Zaid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you had Michael Clark Duncan is tremendous.
Yeah.
Chris Christopherson is one of the best.
Yes, I agree.
The lady, the female.
You've got some other. You've got Paul Giamatti is in the film. You've got It's just a great cast. I mean, and even Deep Roy is in the film.
Yes.
Yes. And the same actress that was in Tim Burton film all the time. She, I'm about to call her name earlier. She was in it as well.
Helena Bonham Carter. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in it.
But Deep Roy's classic, though. That guy's great too. And I'm not sure what happened with it, man. What do you guys think happened with the Planet of the Apes? Because you had kind of all the pieces there, and Burton seems like a good guy to pick for it.
The critics didn't like it too much, but I liked it. The critics did downrate it.
I didn't much care for it myself, but I'm curious for those who didn't like it. Like Leroy likes it, but what do you guys think went wrong?
I liked it in general. I like the story, but I agree. I like the story. I like the concept. I hated
Okay.
I hated the pacing. I didn't like Paul Giamatti's character very well. I mean, which is unusual because generally I like what Paul Giamatti does. And then of course we get the end, and we get that stereotypical, and I'm using the term, we get that stereotypical cliffhanger ending that really had no purpose in the movie. If they had actually cut the movie off with him just going into space and leaving it at that, I would have been probably fine with the movie completely. But it was one of those movies. It's like this movie I watched not too long ago, Shadow in the Cloud. First 2 acts were really good. First 2 acts really had me on the edge of the seat. Third act ruined the whole freaking movie. Just destroyed everything the first 2 acts put together. And I felt that ending really destroyed the movie, in my opinion.
Well, wasn't the ending a ape Lincoln statue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looked like they were trying to jumpstart a new franchise with it.
As far as my take on Burton's Planet of the Apes, for me, it was a number of factors. I'm hit and miss on Mark Wahlberg as a leading man. I won't lie. I honestly, I can't lie about that. I mean, he's okay in certain projects, and in other projects, he just plain stinks. And he's just not, to me. He's a good supporting actor, but he's not a leading man. And – the other thing for me, I think this is something we can all agree with. I did not like the ending.
No,
I don't like
honestly,
it's been a while since I've seen the film, but the ending I remember got me annoyed.
Yeah, for me, it made absolutely. Now, if they set this up where it was a multi-universal type of story, okay, hold on 1 minute, Leroy. So, if Burton had set this up, or maybe it was something that we missed, or something that was cut, I don't know what the case is, but the astronaut, and I don't even remember the name of the astronaut. That's how unimpressive he was to me, and that's rarely something I say about a character or a movie. I just, when he landed on Earth and everybody is an ape, and the head of you've got the Thade Memorial instead of the Lincoln Memorial, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this?
Right.
I don't understand this. Did he go back in time? What the hell happened? I mean, if I remember correctly, and it's been a long time, me and Mother Ambassador went to see this, and we walked out, and I asked her, I was like, you remember seeing the original? I've even seen the original. She's like, yeah. I was like, did that make a lick of sense to you? She's like, no. I'm like, when my mother, who was, I think in her like late 50s, who grew up watching the original Planet of the Apes, says to me, and I agree with her. I mean, me and her often agree on things, obviously. I mean, we're family and everything. But when we agree on movies, which we don't always do, and she even says, that made no damn sense. You know a movie is screwed up.
Well,
yeah, like when someone that's overly positive about movies, I've always said, like, if you got even me flustered, who always tries to find the positive in a movie, then you messed up.
Well, if you do a cliffhanger, you at least have to wrap up the main storyline. You know what I mean? You can't leave a cliffhanger that makes no sense. It has big implications, but you can set up a second one without causing problems.
And see, that's the difference with the original Planet of the Apes. That wasn't a cliffhanger. That was not a cliffhanger. That was Charlton Heston's character actually realizing he's been on Earth the whole time.
Right. But it made you want more. A cliffhanger. Right. So it works almost better than a cliffhanger because it makes you want more.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I don't think it was ever planned as a series of movies, but the first one did so well that they end up doing a second movie beneath the Planet of the Apes, where you meet the mutated aliens that are ancestors of the humans that survived the war with the apes. Oh, here's Leroy. Here we go.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Leroy,
it happens.
A while ago. It got cut off a while ago, so it's now back on. Sorry about that.
No, Leroy, no worries. Technical issues happen. Good. Don't worry about it.
Well, I wanted to mention a couple more people who were in Burtons because it's a stacked cast, guys. I mean, just incredible. Rick Baker, Eric Avari, and some of these guys you may not put a face to them, but these are guys who've been around forever. David Warner, James Whitmore, who some of you guys may know as James Whitmore played the president in that film, and he was the guy who played Brooks in Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm remembering.
Yeah, I think was that the one guy who hung himself? Zach, is that the one I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, I know who exactly you're talking about.
And he's an awesome actor, man. That guy's tremendous. He was in that movie with Jim Carrey about the movie theater.
Oh, The Majestic.
Yeah.
I've never seen that one.
It was good, and I'm a big fan of his, man. I mean, that Brooks character has always touched me. You know, it was always such a sad.
I believe his son is James Whitmore Jr. His son actor as well, James Whitmore Jr.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Rick Baker, that's the guy. That was the special effects makeup guy, and he's worked with a lot of the. I think he started out with Lucas, if I remember correctly. Over at
but I think he played one of the apes.
He might have. I don't know for sure, but he might have. That wouldn't surprise me.
A cameo, but he's in the cast list.
Yeah, that would not surprise me.
One of the apes in Planet of the Apes. Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. Charlton Heston was one of the older apes in it.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you. Oh, sorry, Messer.
No, go ahead, Geek. Go ahead.
I was going to go with a different movie that maybe, I don't know how many of you have seen. It's actually one my wife and I really enjoy together. Big Eyes, because it's historical in its nature.
I've seen that.
And
Zach has
it's
brought it up several
actually
times.
it's a really good story. It's got a good human feel to it. It's set at a time. This woman, she's, her husband's taking credit for her work. She's the woman who created the Big Eyes thing, and
Right.
The storyline is, of course, nobody believes she can do it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, she ends up, her and her husband get a divorce. They have a child together. She ends up getting involved with this support group of Jehovah's Witnesses. And, they tell her, and, she eventually goes to court to fight him on saying, no, he's not the one really doing this. I am.
Well, I don't want to spoil the whole thing for everybody.
It's very different from your most Tim Burton movies.
But the court scene was amazing when they go to
Yes.
draw the pictures, right? That was amazing.
Yeah.
And we both know how that turns out, right? As
Yes, we
Christoph
do.
Waltz sort of, well, can I have some more ink? And I don't know about this pen, right? But yeah, that's a great movie, man. I agree. That's probably one of his most recent movies that I actually really liked.
Yeah.
It was also different. Like I said, it seems like it's something in his element he would appreciate, considering his unique style. But it's a very different movie for him to do. But it was very good. My wife actually saw it before I did, and she says, "I think you'll like this movie." And we watched it, and I was really engaged in it. I was very
Amy
enjoying
Adams,
the
right?
story.
Is that who the wife was? Amy Adams?
Was Amy Adams in that? I'm going to have to check. Let me see.
That's who it was.
Oh, it might be Amy Adams. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Amy Adams in it. Yeah, she's in it. Amy Adams in it, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yep, Amy Adams.
Yeah, she's awesome, man. She's a great actress too.
Yes.
And Christoph.
Actually, I just I'm going to say this. I just saw Arrival a couple days ago.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what. That was like First Contact done right.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I loved everything. I loved almost everything about that movie, except for one small part, or a couple small parts. But overall, the movie's my enjoyment factor was much better than my little nitpicking on a few military things. And that's just because I spent 20 years in the military. It's impossible for those of us who have experience in a certain area to be like, okay, come on.
Well, the aliens.
I gotta rewatch Arrival. I've seen it like a few years ago. It was a great film. I gotta rewatch it.
Well, the thing with that is the aliens actually looked like aliens. They actually looked like something weird that we could never, perceive, right? But
that is true. Yeah,
I thought
communication too.
Yeah, and that was the thing. And I'm sorry, Ambassador, I don't mean to get off on this. Get off. The
no, it's okay.
Thing. But when
okay.
Amy Adams, when I was watching the whole thing with her doing the language and the language being in these circular shapes, I was like, this is excellent. I was like, this is a great concept.
Well, did you see her movie on Netflix, The Woman in the Window? I think that was her too, wasn't it?
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
I think it might have been. Yeah, I think it might have been.
Yes, sure.
I heard it didn't get good reviews, though. It didn't get good reviews.
I fucking loved it.
George, I'm gonna give you a little. This is just my 2 cents on this.
Oh, I know you're gonna say don't trust the critics.
Yeah, don't trust
critics. I'm just gonna say don't listen to the critics, because oftentimes they are much like a college dorm bathroom, foul, smelly, and nothing good in it.
Critics are trash. That's my opinion.
I agree. There's plenty of movies that critics have hated that I loved. Rocky IV and Batman v Superman are perfect examples of that.
Yes.
Amen to
love
that.
the movie on your own free term. Don't listen to critics. As long as you love the movie, that's the movie.
George, Woman in the Window, dude, is killer. If you ever have some free time, check it out. It's on Netflix. Man, I mean, what a cool fucking movie. And you've got the secondary character you've got fucking Gary Oldman as one of the main secondary characters. You've got, oh my God, just a stacked cast.
Is it similar to Rear Window from Alfred Hitchcock? Because that was the impression I got when I saw a trailer for it.
A little bit, yeah. And I'll just give you the cast, man. I mean, it's like the killer cast. Amy Adams, Julianne Moore, Gary Oldman, Wyatt Russell from Falcon and Winter Soldier. You've got Anthony Mackie. Jennifer Jason Leigh from Hateful Eight. Just a crazy good cast.
Oh, I love Hateful Eight. Don't get me started.
Wow.
Oh, Ambassador, you should have been a part of my Tarantino panel I did a few months back. I actually ended up having to break it up. I had to break it up into 3 segments.
Do you know that I actually, Geek? Do you know that I actually did? I think it was about a month or so ago. Unfortunately, Zach missed it. I actually did my own. I did my own Tarantino stream.
Nah, I missed it, buddy. I wish I had.
No, well, no, it's okay.
No, it was great to be on it was great to do this Tarantino panel I was doing because there were movies I hadn't seen yet by Tarantino. And now I'm literally only one movie. There's only one movie I haven't seen by Tarantino so far. And that is Inglourious Bastards. That was the only one we never talked about. It was the only one I didn't get to. I love The Hateful Eight. That was like literally Reservoir Dogs in the West.
Yes,
yeah.
So, I just want to say a quick shout out to the chat. Barris, his two comments and everything. Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes remake was really bizarre take on the franchise and its ending, but the movie still was pretty decent makeup effects and film sets. Yeah, and Ferris, sorry I couldn't join the stream because I've got a baby girl to take care of. Glad I could catch you guys. Ferris, you are always welcome, and thank you for tuning in tonight, and we will see you next time. You have a great night, bud.
Bye-bye.
Oh, Ambassador, you haven't really seen me in a while. What do you think of the new hair look?
It looks good. On you, it looks good. On me, it would look dreadful.
Sorry about that, guys.
Leroy, stop it.
Leroy, you're doing well.
Well, I want to say this about Tarantino just really quick.
Sure.
He's never done a bad movie in my view, which is shocking. He's never let me down, and I can't believe that. And
I love all his movies.
He's never let me down. Even the ones people.
I love all his movies.
Oh, go ahead.
I love all his movies, but critics find fault some of his movies. But I love all his movies. Every single one of them are good.
Yeah, I like all of them too. I like Death Proof, which is one of his that people say is a bomb. I liked it a lot.
Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. I love Kill Bill Volume 1.
Tremendous. I even like the films he wrote.
Yeah,
right?
Kill Bill is one of my wife's favorites.
Yes,
well, he wrote Natural Born Killers, which is a great movie, right? With Oliver Stone. He wrote that, and he wrote True Romance, which was another great movie.
Yes, yeah. You know, I've done this with some of the other director spotlights I've done. How would you all feel? And this is a pure hypothetical. How would you all feel if Tarantino and Burton did a movie together, or did a series of movies together? How do you think that would look?
That would be good. That would be awesome.
If you want my opinion on that, I'd rather them not collaborate on a movie together. I'd rather them collaborate on like a mini series together.
That could work. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because here's why I say that, Ambassador. I think they could do a good movie together. I think they might be able to, if given the right material that they can both work with. I think they could make a good mini series, whether it be 6 episodes, 10 episodes. I'd like to see them do a mini series, some kind of series, maybe an anthology, like they both have a tendency to be able to pull together. That would be something.
Gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just had a brilliant idea for something they could do. Let me toss this at you guys, see what you think. Quentin Tarantino and Tim Burton present Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, that could work.
That could be something special.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Please?
Well, Tarantino's never done a horror film, right? He's never done like a scary movie, Tarantino, with creepy stuff in it. So I
maybe
could
something
see
more Alfred Hitchcock Presents with
violent
like
drama.
A gory Hitchcock, like a really splatterfest Hitchcock, or maybe a subdued splatterfest Hitchcockian.
Well,
dude, yes, you can't go over the top with Hitchcock movies.
Yeah.
Remember,
oh my gosh!
Remember, Hitchcock was the king of suspense. Remember, one thing about Hitchcock that I've always loved, even as a child, that man was the king of suspense.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and I was asking Zach about like if it was similar to Rear Window, because Rear Window is like one of my all-time favorite films. That was my introduction to Hitchcock at a movie club back in middle school. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, my first introduction into Hitchcock, very first movie I ever saw by Alfred Hitchcock was The Birds. Immediately hooked. And my grandmother, which the ambassador knows very well, a lot of my stories start with in my grandma's basement. My grandmother had not only just all the Alfred Hitchcock movies that were available at the time. My grandmother was an avid Alfred Hitchcock reader.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, avid. That's what, if I walked in her room at 2 a.m, because she was a night shift ER nurse for her entire life, man, it was usually an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Or, sorry, an Alfred Hitchcock book. My bad.
No, it's okay. Honestly, I sometimes get the feeling, I think I need to, I wish I'd had a chance to do a little more research for Burton. But I sometimes get the feeling that one of his inspirations was Hitchcock. Because if you look at some of the work that Hitchcock has done, or that Burton has done throughout his career, it sometimes does have that very odd vibe to it. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Right. Yeah,
I see it in there, like that, like kind of like odd, like mystery kind of vibe.
Yeah, because Burton is anything but conventional, even though he has done some more conventional work throughout his career. But honestly, I would love to see. I would really like to see Burton, before he closes the book on his directorial career, have him do something, do a suspense, or do a horror, kind of like in the same vein of like Beetlejuice or Corpse Bride or something like that. Something that is got some silliness to it, but does have a more sinister edge. Maybe more. Maybe Burton.
Okay.
I would love to see him do something in the gothic genre that's a little more heavy, not like one of these stupid jump scare paranormal films that we've got coming out of our ears these days, but something that would really give people the creep and crawly heebie-jeebies. And you walk out of huh?
Have you seen The Conjuring?
No, and I have no interest.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, Ambassador.
I'm sorry, I don't.
Ambassador, I thought would be a good Ambassador if I Rodriguez and Tim Burton in a genre together where I think they could make some work on this, and I think Tim Burton could really engage in this, and I believe Rodriguez could engage in some kind of noir film.
That could work.
Something in the noir era, maybe even use the
that
color scheme of the noir time. Maybe make a nice black and white noir kind of movie. I think it could work.
Yeah, it can work.
Together.
I would be interested to see him do like one of those Conjuring movies, see what that would look like. I mean, it could be very interesting.
Oh, Dark City. Oh God,
that's a good
most
one.
Underrated gems of the goddamn 90s. What a great movie!
I agree.
I recently saw.
Tim Burton is over 16 right now, right? Tim Burton's around 63 now, about in that age group. Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
He's in his 60s now, right? Tim Burton.
Yeah, he was born in 58. Yeah, so he's roughly he's in his 60s, give or take.
Yes.
Zach, you were saying?
Well, I recently saw a documentary called the Forgotten Films of Tim Burton, all the films he never did but was planned and stuff. Mm-hmm. And one of them was a Catwoman spinoff with Michelle Pfeiffer, which would have been a very interesting film. And I believe that even during the Schumacher Batmans, that was still green lit. But for whatever reason, it fell apart. And the guy who wrote the script did an interview saying they had something really just fun and intelligent and interesting. Mm-hmm. But it was going to be, have you guys heard, what's that movie called? The Woman and the Black Cat. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
That old black and white movie.
I think the script took inspiration from that movie. The original Cattleman took inspiration from that.
Yeah. And it was going to be like, it was, even during that time, it was going to be a black and white movie about Catwoman. Right, so it could have been very interesting. It was going to be a Hitchcockian Tim Burton film starring the Michelle Pfeiffer Batman character who leaves Gotham. Right, so it could have been cool, man. That could have been a good one.
Yeah, it would have been a great movie.
You know, Chubby Teddy, I don't know how I feel about him doing something in the vein of Dracula. While he does have a good feel for the gothic and the macabre,
I don't know.
Wasn't Dark Shadows like the closest he got to doing Dracula?
Yeah, with Johnny Depp as what's his face, Barnabas Collins.
Yeah, I didn't care for
those kind of movies fitting, but Dracula would have been too much for him, in my opinion.
Well, I am a man of my word. I told Madam Ambassador, now that I know that Burton did direct it, I would at least give it a shot. I am going to be a man of my word, and I'm going to give. If I come back and I'm not going to do a full on review of it, but if I once I watch it, I'll send out a tweet and say, hey, you know what, guys, this is not the greatest movie ever, but I did have a good time. Because
it was one of those films that for me it was stupid but funny at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually Ambassador today. I after this week, I got my new intro done, my new outro, my overlay done, and I got 3 videos coming out. I got 1 already out, 2 more.
Excellent.
Man, I was so excited to get all that going. Chubby, I'm going to tell you this. I enjoyed that Dark Shadows movie. I actually very much enjoyed that. My wife and I kind of enjoyed it. It was just, I was not a fan of the original Dark Shadows. I knew about it. I had
never
seen it.
Watched it. Yeah,
I knew about it, but I just thought the movies. It's like, are you stoned or something? They tried to stone me. It didn't work. I don't know. There was something about Johnny Depp in that movie and the other actors. It kind of had a real nice Beetlejuice vibe to it. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. I've only seen it, I think, once or twice, but it is a Tim Burton movie I would see again. I found it to have just that right balance of Tim Burton that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it honestly, I just,
oh God, wait.
I didn't. When I saw the trailer for it originally, it didn't catch my eye. It didn't really impress me. It was from a series that I wasn't really had any connection to. So I didn't even bother. So I avoided it. I did. I mean, and now there is one movie that he didn't direct, but I do want to talk about, and that's he has a producer credit on it, and this is a movie that came out in 2011. Let me go over to his IMDb real quick. No, it's called 9. It actually came out in 2009. What? What?
I thought it was one of those movies that had a great idea. Unfortunately, the execution was bad. That's my opinion.
Honestly, I thought it had great execution. I thought the concept was really cool, and I thought it was just. It's for me. It's one of those. I think it's one of those underrated. I think it's really a cult classic, even though it's not like super old. I mean, like I said, it came out in 2009, so. But let me see if I can pull up the poster or something, so I give y'all a frame of reference, because I don't think y'all know what movie I'm talking about, unless y'all do. And if you do that,
I've seen it maybe 5-6 times. I love that movie.
Guys, that movie just maybe I need to rewatch it again. Maybe I need to hear other points of view. For me, it was just very hard for me to follow.
Okay.
Honestly, for me.
here's my understanding of the film: is you had a war between human beings and artificial intelligence.
Yes.
That left all of humanity destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And following is these puppet creatures, which are essentially the embodiments of the past, which is the human race, right? And this doctor put his mind into these puppets so that humanity would have a chance, right?
Yes.
So you have these, and the puppets all, in my view, have great. Martin Landau, who we just mentioned, Martin Landau is in the film, and you've got Christopher. What's his name?
Christopher Plummer.
Christopher Plummer and Elijah Wood and.
Let me see if I can. Let me go back.
But for me, it had the cool factor. That film had the cool factor. A lot of badass sequences, a lot of cool. And I'm an animation guy, so.
Yeah, let's see. Elijah Wood, Jennifer Connelly, Christopher Plummer, John C. Reilly, Christopher Glover, Martin Landau, Fred Tedatorsky, I think is how you pronounce his name. I hope I'm getting it right. I hope I'm not butchering the guy's name. Let's see. Who else?
Great cast.
Alan Oppenheimer, Tom Kane, the guy who did Yoda.
Yep. For those of you who don't know, Tom Kane did Yoda in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. And Bruno Chloe. I think that's right. I hope that's right. But does the poster ring a bell now, Geek?
Oh, no. I know exactly what movie you were talking about.
Okay.
Exactly
all right. Okay.
I didn't need the poster to know what you were saying. When you said 9, I was like, when I first saw it. Now, granted, when I first saw it, it was probably 2010. So we are talking an 11-year difference.
Yeah, it's a 09.
Probably sit back and it's probably worth the way you guys said it. It's probably worth my time to give it a rewatch. Maybe my opinion would change. Maybe
I'll get a curious thing. What don't you like about it?
As I remember, to me, it just seemed confusing at the time. Now, remember, I haven't seen this movie since 2010. The way I remember it, it was like, it seemed like the animation was beautiful. The animation, the cinematography was beautiful. The story just, at the time, I wasn't able to grasp it. So I think
that's fair.
I just wasn't able to grasp. Now, granted,
maybe it was the ending, man. Is it the ending that made you feel that way?
I don't even remember the ending. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, Ambassador, it had a weird ending, if you remember, man.
It did kind of have a weird ending, but honestly, the ending made sense to me.
Yeah, it did in a certain way, but I see where you're coming from, Geek, but it would have been the ending that threw you off because it had this bizarre ending.
Well, and the crazy thing is there, like I said, there have been rumors that there was going to be a sequel made. There was some activity on the movie's Twitter page or something, I think, but there hasn't been any movement since then. And I'm like, oh, please do a sequel to this. Burton, come back. Put your name behind this thing because this is one of those producers movies that you produce.
Ambassador, it scares me. What if they do it and it sucks? Right? I love the original.
I would love to see them. Here's the thing. I would love to see them try and it stink, than them not do it at all. I'm one of those people
with that. I'm in a disagreement with that, Ambassador, and only because I have made my point very clear on certain things. Certain things just should not have a sequel. E.T. should not have a sequel. I don't think 9 should have a sequel.
I agree.
Joaquin's Phoenix, the Joker, that they're telling me is going to get a sequel made. I'm like, you're going to fucking ruin the legacy of that first
That doesn't
movie.
need a sequel. It really doesn't.
That's my thing. Is it was so beautifully done that if you go in and make a sequel, the whole point of that sequel is going to be to answer our questions or create more questions. I don't want more questions. I don't want answers. I want to be able to have the next 40, 50 years talking about that movie, The Joker, and us giving our different thoughts on what really happened. That's what I want. That was a masterpiece of movie making.
I agree. You're not going to get a drop of disagreement with me on Joker. And honestly, I am I myself am on the fence about a sequel to Joker. Now, this is something this is a position that for those of you who have followed me for a while now, I would love to see them do other movies in the same vein or the same style or along those same guidelines, or not guidelines, but framework as Joker, but do other villains from the DC universe. And I wouldn't mind seeing Burton tackle something like that. Honestly,
yes, I was. That's why I was bringing Joker up, Ambassador.
Yeah. Now I know Zach
think Tim Burton would be great for certain villains. I think Tim Burton could possibly do a good Bane movie.
No, I think he would be better for the more psychological characters. I think he'd be good for maybe.
That's the thing. Bane is not just that. That's where I want to go there. Bane is not just a muscular, superpowered guy on Venom. The dude is smart, and I'm gonna say why I know he's smart. Because I remember all the way back in the 90s, the comic book when Nightfall happened.
Yeah, I remember.
Bane is spying on Bruce Wayne. There's Batman.
Well,
because that's Bruce Wayne. He goes, "You think he can hide from me wearing that mask?" He was only one of few people who realized Bruce Wayne was the mask.
Yeah. But no, what I was trying to say is, I don't mind seeing Burton do something like that, but I don't think Bane is the right character for him. What I meant was the more psychologically broken villains. I think that he would be a better fit for those type of characters, like Two-Face or like the Riddler or something like that.
Yeah.
Something that's has a more of a psychological aspect to it.
Yeah.
What about Dr.
Hugo Strange?
Hugo
dude,
Strange?
I was thinking the same thing.
No, not Dr. Strange. No, not Dr. Strange. The one.
No, Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange. Thank you. Yes.
Hugo Strange.
That's who I was going with.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
Hugo Strange would be great.
Well, now the one that I've been pushing for and that I'm a huge advocate for is Mr. Freeze. I would love to see them do I would love to see them do a movie like Joker, where it's a deep dive into the psyche and the mind and the backstory of Dr. Victor Freeze. Because honestly, for me, as much as I love Batman's Rogues Gallery, I love all the villains, but by far for me, and it's the reason why is multi-tiered, and I hate that I have to reference my own content. I did a video talking about why I love the character of Mr. Freeze and who I'd love to see playing him in a live-action movie. But that whole video explains my entire point. Mr. Freeze is, for one, he is by far one of my favorite villains, as I said. But he is also one that has never gotten, I think, a proper film presence on screen. Because, as I said in my video, as much as I like, and I said this numerous times before, as much as I like Arnold Schwarzenegger and I know he's an action star. I know all this. I understand that. I appreciate it. But him as Mr. Freeze simply did not work for me. The Mr. Freeze that I resonate with, the Mr. Freeze that I love, is the one from the 90s series that was voiced by Michael Anserna, that Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, and all those people worked on to create and craft, and that, for me, is the quintessential Mr. Freeze.
Okay.
Would I think Burton would be a right? Would I think Burton would be the right fit for a story like that? I don't know. But I want to see. I would love to see Burton tackle somebody. Geek, I hate you.
That is amazing.
Guys, sorry, I didn't mean to monopolize, but I wanted to get that out. Everything, guys. The floor is yours.
No.
You're 100% correct, because the animated series did such a great job of making Mr. Freeze this character we can feel bad for, to feel sympathy for, and then Batman and Robin just undid all that hard work of making Mr. Freeze this heartfelt character.
Yeah, you see, Ambassador, that's why I grabbed this, because I knew where you were going with it. I could tell just by the way you were talking, and I'm sure a lot of us.
Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero. Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero.
He was going with the Batman animated series version of Mr. Freeze, and that is one of the other things. That's just another character that animated series did right, because they knew what they were doing. They knew how to explain the character. They knew the love of the characters. They knew the commitment of the fans. Yes, that was the Mr. Freeze we all wanted, because you really sympathize for him because he's so robotic. He has no emotion. He's clinging on to and I'm sorry, Ambassador, but you got me going here. He's clinging on to not an emotion. He's clinging on to the memory of an emotion.
Batman and Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero, yes. I remember that animated movie.
Yes. Yes, I have that too.
Yes. Excuse me there. You're talking to somebody on the phone. Yeah.
By the way, Ambassador, you said you hate me for that. I thought you were going to hate me for this.
Hang on 1 second, guys. I'll be right there. Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
Well, it's nice to meet you. I've known the Ambassador for quite a while, but it's funny. He says, Leroy, it's funny. He says he hated me for that. And I shot a picture of him of this when I went to the retro toy store, and I thought he was going to hate me for showing him this one.
Oh,
no, that's from Babylon 5. That's from one of my favorite shows. No, okay.
Yeah, and if I get a chance, I'm going to say, and if I get a chance, Ambassador, not only am I going to buy one, I'm going to tell you I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it, and then I'm going to drive up to where you live because
we'll meet halfway. We'll meet halfway.
Yeah, we'll meet halfway. But I'm gonna get you one, man. I'm gonna get you one.
Ambassador, we're talking about like Batman the Animated Series. The Tim Burton Batman movies helped inspire that show.
That's true. Yes. Absolutely true. I mean, they even use the same theme music that Danny Elfman crafted for him. Chubby Teddy, who would I want to see as Mr. Freeze? Well, I include the link to my Mr. Freeze video if y'all want to go check it out, but to just give y'all the short version or the short list. Liam Neeson, Diego Luna, or maybe Oscar Isaacs.
I got one for you. How about Bob Odenkirk?
Okay. Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, how about Bob Odenkirk?
You make a great Mr. Freeze.
I have to look him up.
Now,
you guys aren't Breaking Bad guys. I take it.
I'm
what
not.
About the Skarsgård dad?
Oh, Stellan Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
Yeah, dude, he'd be good.
Maybe.
Yeah, Skarsgård's
got range.
He does.
Well, I said that because I think he has a lot of range. I think he could pull it off.
You know what, Zach?
How do you feel about Bob, I could. With the shaved head and everything?
Yeah, I could. Well, even without a shaved head, because he didn't lose his hair until after the accident that caused him to go bald. Yeah, I could.
Dude, he's one of the best.
Looking at him, I could totally see him as Mr. Freeze.
Well, dude, you've got to see some of his scenes in Better Call Saul. In terms of a dramatic actor, he's. I've heard of
Better Call Saul. I haven't had a chance to ever watch it.
And he was in. Did you see Nobody? He did that film Nobody.
Yes, I did. I have not seen it, but I do know that he is in it.
Dude, he's a decent choice for it.
You gotta watch. You gotta watch Nobody.
If I ever get the time.
Oh God, it was just fun.
Yeah, well, here's the shocking part, Geek, is I actually liked it better than John Wick.
Wow.
I understood. I can understand why. I can really understand why. The movie is just fun. And, he's got to deal with this whole thing about trying to do his pacification to do the right thing. And, of course, he can't, talk about but throughout the movie, it's so funny how things go. It's there's a whole point where he's like, there are three kinds of people who flash cheese like this. Guys who don't know any better, guys who intimidate, and guys who are begging you to take my money. And then the guy's like, he sees his tattoo. He goes, thank you for your service. He goes, you too, old timer. and all of a sudden he goes behind the door. Click, 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 click.
Don't spoil it for him, man. That's a good movie.
No, but
don't give too much.
Right
don't
there,
give too much
right
away.
There.
I'll definitely have to check it out.
Same here.
I'll give you Geek. I'll give you one of my favorite lines: 0 to 60. Let's find out.
I don't even know the reference. That does sound funny.
It is really a fun movie. It is a real fun. This is what I'm trying to. This is what I'm doing on my channel now. I'm going through and I am going over old movies, new movies, movies that aren't making it out there because we need to get word of mouth out like this. We need to get people to watch the movie Nobody. Yeah, it's really fun. But nobody's talking about it.
And Bob,
sorry,
number one. Well, Bob,
that's what I'm trying to really promote nowadays.
Bob Odenkirk is one of my all-time favorites. I loved him in Breaking Bad. I loved him in Saul. He's always been really good, and he's an unconventional pick for a film like that, which makes it really interesting. He's a weird choice for it,
but it works from what I hear.
It does work.
It does.
No, in this movie, it does work. It fits. It fits the story. It fits the narrative. It is just a good story.
Well, he feels like a real dude, too.
Writing.
Yeah.
I got to check that film out as well. I got like a long list of films to check out.
Well, you got this poor guy. I mean,
George, you hang around.
How he, Zach, remember how he says he's like, we're hearing him doing some narration. He's like, please. He's on the bus. He's like, please do it. Please, please. He's begging. Yeah. He's going to get off that bus, but he is like begging them to do something he wants them to do so he can do it.
Ambassador,
and then it's like you see that part where it says, I'm going to fuck you up. It's like the build up to him getting to that point is beautiful.
Well, so here's the cherry on top for me, Ambassador. Do you want to know who plays his dad?
Sure.
Chris Lloyd.
Yeah.
I am sold. I am sold. I am sold.
Dude, Geek, Chris Lloyd was one of my favorite parts of the movie where he's watching that.
I am sold. He was so awesome.
Yeah. Well,
that was awesome. That was one of my favorite scenes.
And here's the crazy thing. And kind of to bring us back, over to the crazy thing about Burton is he knows how to get the really quirky performances out of his actors. Because let's be honest here, when you think Batman, do you think Mr. Mom? I mean, let's be honest, that was Michael Keaton's most well-known role up until that point. And yet, people still consider Keaton one of the best, myself included. But that's the great thing about Burton is he will cast the most unconventional, the most unlikely actor or actress in a role. And amazingly, it works.
It works, yeah.
By the way, Ambassador, it actually wasn't Mr. Mom was his most recent. You got to remember, it was Mr. Mom. And then literally the year prior, Tim Burton had him in Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did, didn't he? Yeah, because Beetlejuice came out before Batman '89. That's right. So he had history with
Mr. Mom that he was known for.
Well, I think.
People knew him as Mr. Mom, obviously, but he had now just done, and unfortunately, there's no internet back then for us to disseminate this stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be like, holy shit, this guy, Mr. Mom, was in this movie Beetlejuice, and it's fucking awesome. This guy's got range. That's how it would have been.
Yeah, because let's be honest here. I think Burton did a really great job with the two Batman films he would have done. I know that there is rumors out there, or there is something out there online about the Burton cut or the script for Batman 3 by Burton is out there somewhere online that you can go and read. I've honestly been tempted. I mean, if I ever get the time, I am really interested to read that script because I would love to see what Burton would have done with Batman Forever or his cut of Batman Forever or just Batman 3. I don't care.
It was darker. It was darker than.
That's what I heard. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Ambassador, I haven't done a lot of research on all this, but wasn't the whole point there was a lot of between Batman, Batman Returns, and Batman Forever? There was apparently a lot of behind
there
the
was
scenes.
a lot of there was a lot of hullabaloo. Yes, there was, and it's pretty at this point. It's pretty well documented. I actually did a video talking about the darker vision that Schumacher and Burton had for Batman Forever.
Not Schumacher.
But
no.
Okay,
Schumacher
Burton,
did not.
whatever.
Hey,
I know what's going on. Is Burton met with them as a producer, and they essentially made it clear that they didn't want his involvement, and that they wanted to take it in a kid-friendly, white-colored direction.
Let's think about this, though. Remember, the backlash of Batman Returns
yes, it was,
and that from other people. So while you and we see the trend that went with Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, and we hated it. Let's be honest, folks. It wasn't us who caused that. It was that era of people. They were very unhappy. I mean, remember, there was backlash at McDonald's for having those Batman Return toys. Look, we can sit here and bash Joel Schumacher all we want, but you know what? It wasn't. I'm sorry. Hindsight 2020. It wasn't their fault. They got really pinched in a hole.
They did.
Well, I think it was. I mean, if you're the studio, why would you sign a deal with McDonald's before they had a script?
All right. That's here's the thing. And this is honestly a double-edged sword. It really truly is. Studios need to make money. Obviously, they aren't going to just make money off the movies that they make. They're also going to make money off of merchandising, to quote Yogurt. Merchandising, where the real money is made.
Money in the movie is made.
No more prophetic words have ever been spoken by anyone. Mel Brooks nailed it on the head in Spaceballs. Merchandising.
It made more money than Batman Returns. Batman Forever made more money than Batman Returns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
but honestly,
if you cash in, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
The thing else, I'll just say this, and Zach, you can have the floor. Studios are in the business to make money. They want to make movies, but they want to make money. And merchandising is one of those ways. And if a company like, say, McDonald's approaches you and says, hey, we want to do a merchandising deal with you, you're going to go like, how much we getting? You get X. We're in. You just sign on the dotted line. You don't even think about it. And then the movie comes out and you're getting angry moms and angry everything just going batshit crazy after you. And you're a studio trying to put out movies and make a profit. Unfortunately, there are going to be times when you knuckle under, and that sucks. It does. It stinks, but it's the nature of the business.
Money's the driving force. It's why we get so many sequels and we get so many cancellations.
Exactly, George. Okay, Zach, go ahead.
Well, here's the deal, man. It was a film rated.
It's very sad because, it comes down to, I think, a little bit of hypocrisy on the part of parents. Now, hear me out here.
Well, I have a geek, just real quick. Let Zach go, and then you can go, okay?
Sorry.
Well,
it's okay. It's all right.
The point I was going to make is it's a film rated PG-13. So when you go and do a TV special bringing little 5-year-olds up to say the film hates kids, then you guys are purposely misrepresenting the film. It wasn't a film made for them. It wasn't a film that they were even allowed to see, at least according to the people who do the ratings, right? It was a PG-13 film. And that comes down to the McDonald's problem is a big problem because it's a PG-13 film. Why would you put in kids' meals, little Batman toys? It doesn't make any sense. And when you say studios make money, here's the problem with that is sometimes you make a lot of money and it leads to you making less over time, right? If you go and cash in, it's not going to help you in the long run, right? What you need to do is maintain a level of quality. Right. That's to me is what's most important.
Okay. Geek, go ahead.
No, 100%. I agree with what he said there. I think what happened was it was poor marketing, poor execution, and the 90s was, for those of us who grew up in the 90s, was a very different era for us. It's like every era is different. The 60s were different, the 70s were different, the 80s were different. The 90s, for many of us, was a big part of our lives. And it was all, well, that would take another stream or two. But like I said, we had to take word of mouth. And we learned early on from some people who were able to go see a movie ahead of time because we couldn't afford to go. We had to wait for it to hit our dollar theater. And, we had to decide if we wanted to spend $1 in the movie. And, that was a big deal. It was also a big deal when TV was set by time, and Ambassador and I know this, and I'm pretty sure all of you know this, used to be you wrap your schedule around what time a show came on.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is how much entertainment used to mean to us. And those people who were working on them then appreciated that. I don't see the same appreciation from the current batch.
Well, I'll just make this real quick point, which is Batman '89 was not a kid's movie either.
No,
you had the Joker burn a man into a mummy, right, with his little hand, whatever it's called, buzzer,
joy buzzer. Electro Joy Buzzer.
That movie was just as disturbing as the second one, right? With the Joker getting surgery in the basement, and you had creepy shit in the first one.
Oh yeah, so, I agree. But here's the other thing too. For those of us on this panel, and those in the chat and everything, I just want to say a quick shout out to a face I haven't seen, Polyhedral Paradise, Jason P. Press. And Jason, is good to see you, my friend. It has been a very long time, and glad you could tune in tonight. Jason, I don't know if you're free, but if you would like to join the discussion, I have pinned the link to the stream up in the top of the chat. But anyway, for a lot of us, we grew up in a different era and a different time, and we had grown up with directors like Tim Burton, and we knew what to expect from his films, and our parents knew what to expect from his films. Unfortunately, when you have a movie like Batman, who, well, granted, it does have some gruesome scenes, and I do agree with you, Zach. I do agree with you, Geek. For those of us, for guys like us and kids like us, we wouldn't even blink an eye. We wouldn't care. But unfortunately, you get a bunch of angry moms going on television raising a hissy fit because they're taking their children to see a PG-13 movie. And nowadays, you've still got the same cycle repeating itself with parents taking their children to see Deadpool, for crying out loud, which is an R-rated movie.
Right.
Yeah, it's a superhero.
I think some parents, because some of these parents probably grew up watching the Adam West Batman, they probably never thought Batman was like this dark. They probably just assumed he'd be just campy and fun. It's like, no, if you read the comics, it's very dark in there.
Exactly.
But George, that's their fuck up. That's their fuck up, because 89.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what? I'm
just
100% on
creepy.
Zach here. I am 100% with Zach there. There is no way. First off, there is no way. Look, when my wife and I saw Deadpool together, we wanted to see it. We saw these people bring in a couple of kids, and I'm like, okay. And then I started seeing shit on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. It's like, I took my kid to this movie. He was horrified. He was shocked. It's like, how did you miss the R rating, you fucking... That's where I'm like, that's where you got to blame them.
Yeah.
You see,
absolutely.
There was a time when it was legitimate to be a little outraged. Think about Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom and Gremlins, both PG, because there was only PG and R at that point. and it turned out they needed to find something in the middle there. That was a reasonably understandable thing.
Well, and people, here's the thing too, man, is you've got to expose kids to, I'm not saying horror. I don't think kids should watch scary movies, but there's nothing wrong with Batman 89 if you're 10 or 11, right?
Absolutely. That's the first time I watched Batman 1989.
There you go. There you go.
89, I was 10 years old.
Yeah, and we all loved it, right? I probably saw it around the same time. We all loved it as kids. So I think you've got some of these parents who tell the kid what they think about the film, right? Instead of, hey, what? So if I go and see a film, I've got a little sister, right? And I would take her to films and stuff, and I would ask her. I wouldn't tell her what I thought. I would say, what did you think?
Oh.
And I think you've got all these parents with Batman Returns and some of these movies and Deadpool saying that was just atrocious, right? It wasn't that just disgraceful, and you know they're putting thoughts into the kids' heads. They did that TV special about Batman Returns, and a kid went up there and said, "This movie hates kids." That's a quote. How would that kid come up with? How would that kid come up with that by himself? He wouldn't have.
He wouldn't. No, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. The whole thing was, and like I said, it's guys. We have to remember this SJW shit was going on even back then. The only reason now we're seeing it even more is because of social media. But it was all the way back then. I mean, look at Married with Children. You had people trying to get that off the air. If you go back and
even The Simpsons, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, I think maybe, just hear me out here real quick. I think maybe that now that, you know, we have access to the internet, we have access to social media, we're able to perform on these platforms now. They're trying to be like, oh, now we can get back at you all for the fact that you were able to ignore us.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, and you know, the thing is, for those of us that grew up in the 80s and 90s, we have a thick enough skin that we can just look at them, laugh in their face, and just go, bugger off. I don't care.
It doesn't even bother me anymore. You know, that's
same here. I just don't care.
I don't care either, and it's not like I don't care in a dismissive way. It doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, considering I've been physically beat up in school, you think words on Twitter or cyberbullying is going to bust my ass? Sorry, I'm going to go with Cobra Kai here. You know what? When we bullied people, we did it to their face. There was honor in that.
Yes.
Cool.
But when it comes to that, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
The thing I was just going to say, and that's the great thing about these old school directors, they give no Fs. They don't give a rat's ass what these idiots online have to say about their films. They're going to do what they do, and what they do best is entertain. And I will say this for Burton. I know we have all made the comment, and I agree with it. He's had his hits, he's had his misses. Sometimes his misses have been bad. I will be the first to say it. But he keeps doing what he does, and I hope he keeps doing it for as long as he's able to, because I don't want his last movie. I don't want his last film to be Dumbo. I want him to do something really, really out. I want to see him. I want to see him one step. Don't.
I want to see him back in his element, just like smaller, like fun, like but gothic, like films.
There you go.
How
about
more
like
like I said, I think him and Rodriguez should. Like I said,
I wouldn't be opposed to him.
Rodriguez should do a new arc.
Well, Ambassador, are you familiar with the Batman Beyond story? Do you know what it is?
I watch the animated series. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So you could
I love Batman Beyond.
You could have Keaton as the old man and bring in a younger Batman.
Yeah. There's been fan castings of that for years, and they've always said that Michael Keaton would be.
I think
turning in the Flash, so that might open the door.
Yeah, he is. That's right. Yeah.
I think Ben Affleck should be all about.
I don't think I've ever gotten this question from you. Who do you think would be a good Terry McGinnis?
Ryan Gosling.
No.
What do you mean?
I don't know about that. The guy from The Notebook, really?
Have you seen anything else aside? I've never seen The Notebook. How about
Honestly,
The Nice Guys? How
never
about
seen
Blade
that.
Runner?
Nice Guys was a great
Blade
movie.
Runner, I have wanted. Blade Runner 2049, I need to see because I love the original, and I know it's on HBO Max. And I know that it's a Denis Villeneuve film, and I love Denis Villeneuve, especially when I get caught up and stuff before Dune comes out. I think it's later in the fall.
Well, I mean, if the Batman is good, we could do Robert Pattinson.
No,
there has been fan castings.
It's not the right ethnicity.
These are younger actors, 20.
Yeah, because here's the thing about Terry McGinnis. Terry McGinnis in the cartoon in the animated series, I think he's Latin, he's Spanish or Mexican or something like that.
Yeah, as a young, he's young.
Also, Ryan Gosling does not have the humor. He could not portray the humor of Terry McGinnis.
Terry McGinnis, he's quippy like Spider-Man in a sense, like he's got like some of those.
You almost need
to the annoyment of Bruce Wayne many times.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen The Nice Guys?
I have.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
It is good with him and Russell Crowe, a comedy.
Yeah, it's good.
I've never seen it, so it's not that I don't. It's not that I am dismissive of. I've never heard of it. So you're the first one to mention it to me, Zach.
He looks like a white guy to me.
He's got his skin tone is more Hispanic or Latin, whatever way you want to put it. And hey, to the chat, Tyler M, good to see you, Tyler. Tim Burton's original movies are great. Some new ones are bad, but some are good. Yeah, Tyler, I think that's the consensus across around the panel here. So
I think it's this. We need to accept that there's always going to be, with great directors, and let's think about this. We have great directors like Tim Burton. We have great directors like Robert Rodriguez, and Spielberg, Lucas, and yes. But here's the thing: we have to accept. We always have to accept that, despite every success, there's always inevitably going to be a failure. And think about this. They never act like whiny bitches about it. They never acted like whiny bitches about it like they now do in modern Hollywood, where they're all like, oh, you all just didn't get my vision. No. Back then they used to be like, well, sorry you didn't like it. We gave it our best. We understand your complaints. Those days of, directors being men and women who could grab their balls, it's gone. Sorry, but just had to get that one off my chest.
No, Jesse, I can't say I disagree with you, bud.
Well, McGinnis is a fucking Irish name. McGinnis.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This takes place in the future, and I think honestly, and I've got the picture up here, so give me some minutes.
He looks white. He looks as white as I do, man. How do you know he's Mexican or Spanish?
I don't, but it's just in certain light, his skin tone does bear that resemblance. So,
well, Terry McInnes does not sound like a Spanish name.
No, but here's the thing: this is in the future. Who's to say that his parents were one parent wasn't of Hispanic descent, and who's to say that another parent wasn't of Irish descent? Maybe his father was Irish, and maybe his mother was Hispanic, or maybe she has some Hispanic. That's a possibility. Who's that?
Bruce Wayne DNA in him.
Yeah, and you have to remember. And the other thing you have to remember is, if you watched all the way through to the end of Batman Beyond, it's revealed that Bruce Wayne implanted some of his DNA into McGinnis, Terry's mother.
That's a Justice League Unlimited epilogue episode
was
of
it?
Justice League.
Okay,
That was like
okay.
the original ending of Justice League
Epilogue
Unlimited, but
episode
then they
of Justice
renewed it
League
for one more
Unlimited.
season.
Epilogue.
Yeah, I think you're right because I've not had a chance to watch. I watched Justice League
No,
Unlimited
he's
up to the point.
100% right. It was that was post Batman Beyond. That was Justice League Universe, Justice League Unlimited epilogue. Yeah, you are 100% right there. That was the literally the end, the end of Batman Beyond.
Amanda Waller told
it was intended specifically for that.
We told that older Terry Maggie was older at that time, and she told it.
I'll tell you who else could do old Batman. Is I'd like to see Conroy maybe do it. If Keaton, aside from Keaton, it's between him and Conroy.
Conroy's always
the only thing is I'm not opposed to it, but he's more of a voice actor than he is on screen, so I don't know how well he would do in an on-screen role. I'm not opposed to it.
It was great in the Crisis role.
He's known more for his voice acting than his on screen.
Well,
I didn't get
the Crisis.
Yeah, he was great.
He's right. Yeah, well, he did. Leroy's right. He did do a live-action Bruce, but he played evil Bruce.
Yeah, when he was
evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was it, Leroy?
CW shows ambassador.
The Crisis crossover.
Crisis crossover.
Yeah, he's good.
Hey, Ambassador, I have a question for you, bud.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's for you and everybody who's here. If an IP was available at the moment, what do you guys think you'd like to see Tim Burton try next?
Well, before you came in, we tossed out the idea of him potentially doing something in the Wizard of Oz or the Oz universe. Not the HBO series, the Wizard of Oz universe. Because I think that's kind of right up his alley. It's very screwball. It's very unorthodox, and that is Tim Burton in a nutshell. That's one. As I mentioned, I wouldn't mind him seeing maybe do a one of the villains, the Batman Rogues Galleries characters, one of those live action movies. Perhaps it would just have to be the right character.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I just
Batman Beyond. I'd like to see him do Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
movie.
but I'm not opposed to Batman Beyond, but here's the thing about Batman Beyond. It's more action-y than anything, and it's more of a pure superhero movie. With what he did with Batman 89 and Batman Returns, it did have that superhero movie vibe to it, or comic book movie vibe to it. But it was very unorthodox, and it told a very unorthodox story. Not to mention his take on the villains, particularly in Batman Returns, was very unorthodox. Okay. So,
in a bad way or a good way?
I would say in a good way, because the only thing I had a problem with Batman Returns was the multiple villain concept. I've never been a big fan of the multiple villain concept. It kind of goes back to when I saw Spider-Man 3. I didn't like the fact that they jammed too many villains in. Now, what they did do in terms of Batman Returns that did mitigate that was they had them scheming together, so you had more on screen time with the three main villains in terms of Catwoman, Penguin, and Shrek.
Yeah,
or Shrek.
Played Christopher Walken.
Played masterfully by Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Well, I think it can be done well. I think it was done well in Batman Returns. Another good example of the multiple villain one is Indiana Jones 1. As you had,
I would agree with that.
You had
I'm talking,
and you had Commander Dietrich.
I would agree. Well, I'm talking about more of them. In say a film like Indiana Jones, you kind of expect to have more than one villain, but with a superhero movie or a comic book movie, it's trickier trying to do more than one villain because there are depending on the villains, they all have very powerful, strong presences and personalities that they almost become a wash. But the thing that Burton did very well with Batman Returns is he was able to put the scheme that they were all doing together to the schemes that they all had coordinated well together or fit well together to where they it didn't bog the narrative of the movie down. It very much it carried the movie very, very well. So that was one of the main game factors of the three villains becoming a wash in that film. They all had their distinct looks, their own distinct personalities, but they all collaborated well together. And you almost had Catwoman as an anti-hero character, which she often has been portrayed as in a lot of Batman media. So I would even be open to the idea of them finally doing a Catwoman solo movie and having Burton finally come back to helmet. The question is, who do you get to play Selina Kyle? Because I do not want another Halle Berry dumpster fire of a Catwoman movie. I want a good Catwoman movie, but I want a good actress portraying the role.
I finally saw that film last year. It was horrible.
Never finished it. I'm going to say this, which is not normally something you hear a lot of people say, but I think Batman Returns, between those two Batman movies, Batman Returns with the Mike Keaton, I think Batman Returns was a superior movie because of exactly what the ambassador said. They managed to pull three villains in and make it tie really well together in a connective story. So I think Tim Burton really did well second time out. Unfortunately, too well, too dark, and way too ahead of his time.
Unfortunately, yes, because let's be honest here, and y'all may disagree, that's cool. Tim Burton, I think, was an inspiration to a degree for Christopher Nolan for The Dark Knight. Inspiration, not a key motivator, but an inspiration for what he did. Because let's be honest here, the Dark Knight trilogy, regardless of how you feel about the third installment, it did tell a very dark and a very heavy atmospheric story. That's my perspective on it, y'all.
Yeah, it definitely told a much darker story, a much more mature story, and it worked.
I'm not sure who that.
Many people hate
Tyler,
it.
I'm not sure.
Nolan.
Well, I don't hate Christopher Nolan.
I enjoyed all three movies. I enjoyed all three movies.
Same here.
I enjoyed all three movies overall. I have no true complaints about any of the movies in the trilogy. My only issue, this has always been my only issue with every Batman incarnation up until Ben Affleck.
Oh, wow.
I like my Batman buff, not lean. That was it. Past that, I generally enjoyed everything about the trilogy. I thought it was told real well. Sorry y'all didn't like the third act. I actually thought it was pretty freaking good.
Hello,
hey, Tyler.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Tyler, I just looked up that actress. Okay. I'm going to bring her up right now, so just hang on 1 second, bud. Yeah, because honestly,
I was just going to say that she was in Mission Impossible Fallout.
I didn't see it, but that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, I'm seeing her. I am seeing her, and yeah, I think she could pull it off. I don't know what y'all think, but yeah, she could. I think if Burton was going to do a Catwoman film, there's your Catwoman.
She's got the Selina Kyle look.
She does. She's got the. Say again, Zach. Or was that Zach?
I
don't know who spoke, but yeah, I think that could work. Or I think she could work.
Yeah, and then I guess originally she was supposed to be in the Batman. They were looking at her being Selina Kyle in the Batman movie, and they decided not to go with her. They went with
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, no.
Halle
the daughter
Berry?
of Lenny Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz. Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I thought you were talking The Dark Knight. Zoe Kravitz.
Wow.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. That do you know? I'm gonna give you guys an unusual appreciation for Michelle Pfeiffer when Jack Nicholson, and James Spader did the movie The Wolf. I think that is one of the most underrated gems that nobody talks about.
I've never heard of it. Wow.
Good movie.
Yes, I remember. It's a great movie.
Can you give me a short rundown of it? What's it about?
Okay, it is James Spader. Sorry, Jack Nicholson is the main character. The whole thing is he gets.
Wait a minute. Is this like an adaptation of the Wolf Man?
Yes, in some.
I have heard of it. Heard of it.
You've heard of it, but the point
I
is,
have heard, when you said Jack Nicholson,
very subtle.
He did do something like that. Yeah, I remember it now.
Yeah, well, it's very subtle how the whole thing goes. And it's not just everybody turns into a werewolf automatically. Senses get heightened, the drama goes. You have him finding out his wife's been fucking around with his best friend. Yada, yada, yada. It may sound interesting. Trust me. Yeah, you got James Spader, you got Jack Nicholson, you got Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm telling you, they were a freaking trifecta of a great movie. There was even some other ones in there too. And the ending is gorgeous, in my opinion. Taylor, you saw it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. There was some great humor in there, and it's been a long time. Of course, I was a kid when it came out, but it was still a good movie. Though. I enjoyed what it was. I mean, because you have Jack Nicholson and of course Michelle Pfeiffer. So I mean, it was a great duel kind of a thing since after Batman Returns.
I just have one thing to say. Meow.
Kaboom. No, I got one for you. I got one for you from the movie Wolf. How did she know I was drinking? I can smell it. I can smell it a mile away. And you'll understand that reference if you watch the movie.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. Y'all have definitely given me some both Tim Burton and non-Tim Burton films to check out in the next few days as I get the time to do so.
One thing I do want to add with Tim Burton's Batman is actually with all Tim Burton's movies. You know, I was talking about before how he has the same actors in some of his films. Danny Elfman's always doing his scores for some reason. Danny Elfman, and he does a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, agreed. Well, they work great together.
Well, for heaven's sakes, Danny Elfman did the score for Mars Attacks. Now, okay, I know we haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about Mars Attacks, but I'd like to spend at least just a few minutes talking about Mars Attacks.
Love that movie.
I still gotta see
it. I know it is cheesy as hell. I know some people consider it one of his weaker films, but it is a guilty pleasure, and I love it to death. Because here's the premise: it's based on a series of Topps trading cards. He did a movie based on Topps trading cards, for heaven's sake. Can you think of a more wackier premise for a movie? And then you put together one of the greatest unconventional casts of all time. And of course, you got to top it off with Jack Nicholson.
I'm going to tell you this.
Jack Nicholson.
I enjoy the movie because. Oh, sorry, George. I just want to say this. I enjoy the movie Mars Attacks because I saw it for exactly what it was. It was satirical. That was the whole point of it. It was meant to be over the top. I don't understand. I mean, it was, no different than any other parody. It just somehow people didn't get, I think, Tim Burton's humor in it. That's my thought.
I cannot say I disagree because you've got Okay, you've got Jack Nicholson, you've got Glenn Close, you've got Danny DeVito, Jim Brown, Annette Bening, Pierce Brosnan, Michael J. Fox, Sarah Jessica Parker, the woman who played Juno, the clerk or the agent from Beetlejuice. You've got a young Jack Black. You've got
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman. I was kind of leaving her for the last, but yes, you've got. No, it's okay, Tyler. It's all right. What's the name of that one guy? The play Jack Black's dad. I'm trying to think of his name, but I can't. For him.
No, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's.
Can you talk about a weirder cast? Owen, Tom, and Tom Jones.
Tom Jones, yes. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Who was the boxer?
Jim Brown.
Yeah.
And Pam Grier. I almost forgot about Pam Grier.
Yeah. Bus driver.
Yeah. Who doesn't love Pam Grier?
That's right.
Get on the bus now. Okay, Mom.
See, that's my whole thing. That if you look at the movie for what it is, you can see it. It is meant to be over the top. It is meant to be satirical. It's meant to have this crazy cast of people. And he, instead of forcing humor, manages to, like they're trying to do now with this shit, they let the humor just is set organically by these people's different comedic strengths. And it really worked out well. I think that's why a lot of people didn't understand it. They just didn't get where the movie. First, I didn't like it at first because I didn't understand the movie. I think a lot of times if you go back and you watch it again, you reflect on what they were doing. I think you find it's a masterpiece.
Oh yeah.
I just love the Martians talk.
All right, then. I'll believe in you guys now. Hello, I'll believe in you guys now. Let other people come in. I say on it too long, so great live. It's a great live.
Leroy, you're fine, man.
No, it's okay. I'll let other people come in and get a chance to talk.
Shut up. Not you, Leroy. The miss is giving me a hard time.
Other people come in and get a chance to talk to you guys. The space is full, so it's a great live with you. Great talking to you guys.
Great talking to you, Leroy. It was nice talking to you.
Leroy, you don't have to leave, man.
No, it's okay. I'm okay. So I have manners. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, hey, Leroy, thank you for having.
I like the video. I like this video.
Thank you, Leroy. Appreciate it. And you have a good night, man.
Take care, Leroy.
Take care, man.
And hey, everybody, I have dropped a link to Leroy's channel in the chat, so go show him some support and everything. But yeah, there was actually two other actors I almost forgot. Paul Winfield and Rod Steiger were also in this. They played two of the generals that were on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Oh, I completely forgot about Martin Short. How could I forgot about Martin Short?
Jack Punter to the rescue.
I forget. Did you say Lucas
He played the horny press secretary for the Jack Nicholson as the president.
This is definitely a must see.
George, if we have not incentivized you enough to see Mars Attacks Now, I don't know what more we can do for you.
No, you guys have incentivized me to catch plenty of films. Like I feel like I've seen a lot, but I've missed a lot.
Well, George, the thing you have to remember is I think you're the youngest person on the panel because
I'm 24 years old. But listen, I've seen a lot of older films. I've seen a lot of newer stuff, but I've also missed a lot of newer and older stuff. So I try to see as much as I can. Like a couple weeks ago was the first time I ever saw Dirty Dancing for the first time, and I see plenty of 80s films. Yeah, like I've seen The Karate Kid 100 times, Ferris Bueller 100 times.
Hey, Ambassador, guess what I watched finally for the first time? It's on my list. It's finally crossed off. Chinatown.
Oh. That's a good one.
to actually be able to,
Can I give you, Geek, can I give you another one? The French Connection.
That's on my list.
Oh, I saw that back in December. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I know you're talking
Gene
about
Hackman.
the original. Yeah, the Gene Hackman one. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I absolutely know what you're. Yes, it's on my list. Oh my God, man! Watching Chinatown, I was like,
yep.
The acting, Faye Dunaway, Jack Nicholson. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Forget it, Matt. Forget it, Jack. And then finally, 41 years old, I finally get the reference. Forget it, Jack. It's Chinatown. Now I finally understand the reference.
There's another one I'm going to have to do a review or a stream on at some point. And it's one that y'all wouldn't expect me to ever do one for, but I have to. I'm obligated. I'm an 80s kid. Granted, I didn't watch this in the 80s. I watched it in the 2000s. I kicked myself for trading in my DVD copy of the deluxe edition. Scarface. The 80s did a lot of, the 70s and 80s did a lot of really great crime drama movies. And we've named 3 of them. Chinatown, The French Connection, Scarface. And amazingly, they all deal with drugs to one degree or another.
Well, you gotta put The Godfather in there too.
Yep.
I was on a stream I think it was Friday, where someone asked me if I was going to do a director spotlight on Martin Scorsese. And I've said I will put it on the books.
Well, Scorsese's got a lot of great stuff out there.
Oh, good grief.
Well, I have a question. I have a real quick question, and I brought this up the last few times on different panels when all of a sudden it gets to the gangster stuff. And I've asked my wife this question, and I know her answer, I know my answer, but which one is the superior movie? Goodfellas or Casino?
Oh, hell. Mm.
I guess mine would be biased a little bit because I haven't really watched Casino all the way. I have to watch Casino all the way through, so mine would be Goodfellas.
See, my wife is Casino. Me, I'm Goodfellas.
Yeah.
George, Zach, your thoughts, gentlemen?
Goodfellas is great. Casino is also a great one. I haven't seen every Scorsese film, but I've seen a lot of his bigger ones.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm glad it wasn't so easy for everyone, because I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't so easy for me because I was like, there's such superiority in different areas. I just give Goodfellas just a smidge of an edge.
Okay. Jesse, you brought up a question a little while ago. An IP that Burton could play in. What about this? Something a little more unconventional. A paranormal.
What you got in mind?
Like a paranormal or a gothic crime story.
I'm done with it.
But I can see him doing something with that. I mean, he's got the crime aspect with Batman down. He's got the gothic one with his other films. I think he can do it.
9, he could draw on his writing, producing, directing. Yeah, he could do paranormal. I mean, wait a minute.
Not just a paranormal, but like a paranormal, like gangster movie, kind of like in the same vein as like Casino or Goodfellas or something, or Scarface, or maybe not Scarface, but something like those other two. And Zach, I'd like your thoughts too, if you're willing.
Yeah, actually, I think he could, considering we did get Sleepy Hollow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I did have.
I think he could pull a paranormal reference in a noir gangster style. Yes, I absolutely think he could pull it off. Given the right script, story, yeah, what do you guys think? But yes, I think he could, based on his experience and what we know about his stuff. Yeah, I think he could do it.
Yeah,
I think Burton's at his strongest when he does an original concept. So I think he can.
That would definitely be an original concept. I don't think that's something that's ever been done before.
Right.
And just real quick to the chat, I want to say, oh, Leroy, that's okay. I'll pop it out of the chat later and everything, and it won't be a problem. But hey, Leroy, thank you for joining us this evening, and look forward to having you on next time I go live. So you have a great night, and hope you enjoy the rest of the stream, either now or when you catch the replay. So yeah, honestly, I think Burton is honestly at his best when he does something, he does an original concept or something unconventional. I think the idea of a paranormal gangster crime story type movie, that's about as unconventional as you can get. So
I think it'd make a hell of a comic.
You know what? You wouldn't be wrong on that one, Jesse. A geek. Yeah, I agree.
That's true.
Yeah. So
that would definitely be. But yeah, I would, like I said, yes, I would definitely agree. I think that Tim Burton and Rodriguez would be. I think both.
You keep coming back to Rodriguez. You know there are other directors out there besides Rodriguez, right?
No. I said I think they could do. Well, we were talking about that earlier. Tim Burton doesn't seem like the type who likes to have other people play in his sandbox.
That is true. I don't think that's inaccurate. So
yeah.
Snyder has shown he can do some interesting things with the noir. Who was the person who did the Sin City movies?
That was Rodriguez, actually.
Rodriguez, okay. Frank Miller, and Quentin Tarantino, the special one.
Yeah.
Special director.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Rodriguez.
Frank Miller is a master of comic books.
Yep.
Yeah, I think everybody on the panel would agree. Even Zach, even though he's been kind of quiet the last few minutes. So.
Well, remember that whole thing with Batman v Superman, with the way they fight. That's literally from the frickin' Dark Knight Returns comic book that Frank Miller did.
Could you tell that to half the internet, please, Jesse? Because there are people. I'm sorry, I keep using your. I know you're okay using your name. I try not to, but could you go tell the rest of the internet that? Because I've actually come across some nitwits who actually think that the fighting choreography in the Dark Knight and the in Batman versus Superman, the Dark Knight was wrong.
Yeah, people like to whine about silly stuff.
That whole
stuff they don't understand.
With him in that armor came from the inspiration of The Dark Knight Returns. The inspiration for Batman v Superman, part of it came from Batman Returns. At this point, mutants have taken over certain areas. Superman is an agent of the government. Batman is a vigilante again. And they come head to head in the series, and Batman, being who Batman is and thinks ahead, tries to give himself the best advantage. Not necessarily sure he's going to live through this, but he gives himself the best advantage. So when you have Batman v Superman, when they actually fight, got the suit on, he's got the kryptonite. That was one of the first times I finally got to see in most of the damn Batman series him being a fucking detective, which is something I've been dying to see. I want my Batman to be a damn detective. He's not just a kick-ass guy. He's intelligent.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's something we're going to see with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's Batman. We're definitely going to get the detective story, which I'm happy about because it's based on it's loosely based on the Long Halloween.
Is it?
Loosely, there is some elements to it. Yes, Zach, go ahead.
Well, I am back, and I apologize. My dad called me. I haven't spoken to him for a while, so I had to talk.
Oh, it's okay. No, Zach, that's okay. No worries. Hey, family, as I say often, family comes first. No apology. No apology necessary. We didn't know where you were. That was all.
Yeah, my dad called me, and he's a great guy, so I wanted to talk to him.
No, hey, you talk to your dad, so that's fine. Go ahead.
I came back at the perfect time because I absolutely adore The Dark Knight Returns. I adore it. I adore it. It might be my favorite Batman story ever, and I'm such a big fan of the animated films. And
same
to me.
Oh yeah, it wasn't Peter Weller.
Yes.
Yep.
And you know what? His voice performance was tremendous.
Spot on.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Well, you want to hear my favorite line? You may not remember it, but this is my favorite line. Is when those two thugs approach Old Man Bruce, and he says, "Come on." Right, just badass. I just love that character, and he's just such a badass. And I like the idea of a Bruce who is vulnerable. And that Bruce actually had to rely on Robin, which was amazing too. Is Bruce almost got killed several times in those films, and
it's true.
He was up against the wall, So it's and the scope of that story, and for me, that's why Batman v Superman failed me, is because they had this beautiful story in The Dark Knight Returns, and they took elements from that and went a totally different direction and bring in Doomsday, who was disgusting, and bring in Lex Luthor, who was disgusting. And they just made a fucking mockery of it. And they bring in Wonder Woman for no reason. And it just, for me, it was a big fucking letdown. And not that it was bad, but I'm a fan of The Dark Knight Returns, and you've got this beautiful subject matter that you could have easily adapted. Right, and they go and they do all this fucking bullshit with the CGI.
Well, the problem is, Zach, and I don't know if you know this, you may know this or not. A lot of that stuff that was added in, I think, was mandated by Warner Brothers. I think Snyder was wanting to do just BVS, the Dark. I think he just wanted to do the Dark Knight story where it's Batman versus Superman, but unfortunately, I'd have to do my research. I mean, I'd really have to dig, but I'm pretty sure that all the stuff you just mentioned was mandated by Warner Brothers, and Zach trying to play ball as best as he can. And trying
to. So you're saying they boxed him in?
I would not be surprised. I would.
Yeah, Zach, I don't know if you know this, but that was a lot of the problem with Snyder's time at Warner Brothers, is they kept trying to box him in.
No.
They were trying to get him to play ball. And when he did his 4-hour cut of Snyder Cut, and I know it's not your favorite thing, I understand that.
No, I love it, dude. I like it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You and I have talked about so many movies, I can't remember which one you like and which one you dislike.
Okay. Ambassador.
Just let me say this real quick, and then geek by all means. Snyder was forced out, more or less, because Warner Brothers did not like the 4-hour cut. They wanted it cut down. They essentially bastardized his original vision when they brought Whedon in, and Whedon would play ball. Snyder would play ball to a point, but at the same time, he was like, I'm not going as far as you want me to go. And he was like, I want this movie to be what it is rather than what you want it to be what it is. Mm-hmm. And they use the whole circumstance of their of Zach and Deborah's adopted daughter, Autumn, committing suicide to force him out and then bring Whedon in. So go ahead, geek.
I'm going to say this. When it came to that movie coming out, just like, I absolutely, unequivocally do not blame Zack Snyder for any of it. That poor guy was in as a father. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if she was adopted or not. That was his child. I was just saying that this is a little... No. What I'm saying is, none of that matters. He had to... I understand he tried. Give him credit, he tried, but it's like his mind, his heart wasn't in it. And you know what? I have no disrespect for him for doing that. I would have probably done the same thing. In fact, I probably wouldn't even tried to do it as far as he did. But He's been able to do something a lot of people didn't. He knew people did not blame him for the movie.
No.
Well,
and everybody and the rumors came out, the Snyder cut, and you know the studio. It was kind of like that whole Deadpool thing. The studio was trying to hit down on saying no, none of this shit exists, and then Snyder's being smart. He's sitting back. He's like, look, I'm gonna chill. I'm not gonna get in the middle of this. We'll see what plays out. Yeah. And he played it right.
Well, he didn't even see it, right? That's what I heard.
As far as I know, he did not see. He did not.
Nolan
see.
Told him not to go see it because, like, Nolan saw it and he said, like, Zach would be horrified if he saw this vision. But I think Zach also said, like, he would do a Dark Knight Returns film, but not with Affleck and Cavill. He would do like his own thing with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but that's the source material, though, right, guys? I mean, would you agree that's
yes. Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I would agree that BVS is based on the Dark Knight Returns, absolutely. Because if you look at the design of the bat suit and the Batmobile and all that other stuff, yeah, I would definitely say that it is most. Now, I think that they kind of played the Superman angle a little bit differently in BVS than they did in the Dark Knight, but it still works. The thing I would now. Here's the thing I would love to see. I don't know if Burton would even be interested in doing it, considering his history with Warner Brothers, because let's be honest here, Burton has just as a bad history with Warner Brothers as Snyder does. Warner Brothers has a tendency to piss off or disrespect the directors that come to them or they bring in. I would love to see Burton do a very unorthodox, and Zach, this is something we brought up while you were away. I would love to see him. I wouldn't mind getting your take on this. I would love to see him do a paranormal crime drama. That's the way I would categorize it. Zach, your thoughts?
Can you give me an example of like the type of film you're talking about? Like, give me like
if I'm not mistaken, Ambassador, we were kind of maybe thinking kind of a cross between a noir X Files kind of thing.
Something like that.
I know we didn't say it like that, but that would be the description I would give.
Yeah, that's not too far off base, geek. So, Zach, your thoughts on that? We were thinking of something very unconventional because that's Burton's wheelhouse. Is the very unconventional storytelling or unconventional stories to tell. Well, so does that help you at all?
Well, let me bring up a video game.
Okay.
Maybe that could help you guys. Has anyone played that game by Bethesda, which is a horror game?
It depends. Can you give me a title? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, I'll try.
Bethesda horror game. It isn't Silent Hill, is it?
No.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
Oh boy.
That movie gave me chills.
Silent Hill?
The Evil Within. Has anybody played that?
I've heard of it. I think I know a little bit about the story. Yeah, that could potentially work. Yeah.
Well, how about BioShock? Have you played BioShock?
No, I've not played it, but I do know the.
You hated it?
Yeah, I hated it.
The game BioShock, you hated it.
Here's the thing. I actually really hate first-person games.
First-person shooters?
Yes, I really don't like first-person shooters. I've never liked playing a game first person unless I'm doing like driving or flying. For some reason, I can deal with that, but no. If it's a game I'm playing, I'd rather be third person.
Well, how much of BioShock did you play?
The entire first game.
And you hated it? I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Zach, there are stuff that we've talked about that you absolutely hate. This is something Geek hates.
But that you were shocked about? Dude, I can't believe that. Wow, you hate.
I've never played it. It just didn't appeal to me.
No, the best game I played last year was Ghost of Tsunami.
I've heard of that one.
That was an awesome game, and I actually got to have a great conversation with Stone Loki. We did a review of that. I actually got him to do a review with me, whereas I was giving the perspective of me being a non-gamer, him being a gamer, and us describing this game. Because it was him watching him play it on his YouTube channel is why I played it, and I fell in love with the story and everything, and we had a really great conversation, comparing the gamer non-gamer perspective. I absolutely had a blast. And some months later, he literally I got a package in the mail that my wife knew was coming my way, but I didn't. And it was the vinyl soundtrack for Ghost of Tsunami from Loki. And I was like, wow. I was so humbled.
Well, that's like me saying I hate that game. Like, that's how high in regard I hold BioShock. But that's all right. We agree on The Dark Knight Returns, and as a matter of fact, if you ever want to talk about that on your channel, I would be more than happy to join you, because that is one of my all-time favorite Batman stories.
Okay, get with me, Ambassador and Zach. Yeah, let's get with me. We can absolutely do that. I'm working on, I just updated I finally got time to get my channel up and running, and I got a new intro, got a new overlay, got a new outro. I'm very happy with those. Ambassador, I don't know if you got a chance to see it yet.
I haven't had a chance. I haven't gotten over to your channel in a while, Geek, but I'll definitely I'll go over and check it out and everything next few days for sure. It won't be tonight.
Yeah,
because
what I'm doing is my thoughts and stuff are. I'm basically, the goal of my channel now for those things is I'm giving my thoughts on something in less than 10 minutes, keeping it short, to the point, try and have fun. I changed up some things. I spent 6 hours, I think it was a little over 6 hours on the intro, the outro, and the overlay. Cool. And you know what? The intro and the outro are about 40 seconds each. And I was like, and then the overlay is really set up nice. And I was like, wow. I was like 6.5 hours in, I made this. I was like, this is awesome. I was like, it was worth it. Yeah. I was so excited to start doing videos.
I'm the same way, because I'm actually going to be Geek and Zach, or maybe even you, Tyler and George. This is actually something I'm going to be doing. I mean, I occasionally do what I call these my ambassadorial editorials. I'm actually going to be doing one, and I wouldn't mind having y'all collab with me if y'all want to. I mean, we can even discuss it a little bit now. I know we're at 3 hours and everything, but if you want to go for it,
I could, as long as you fucking want. Yeah, I'm having a good time. So.
Well, I do want to hear your idea before I dip, because I gotta head off soon. But I do want to hear your idea before I go.
Well, the editorial is going to be on the evolution of pop culture, because I did my stream Saturday night when Zach was there, and I think Tyler, you came in towards the end of it. I did my review on Cruella and Mask of Zorro, but the editorial idea I have, it's discussing the concept of the evolution of pop culture and the various mediums in which that exists. Mm-hmm. Because there was a particular point of that stream where me and one of the other panelists, John and everything, we kind of hit a point of contention, because he brought up the issue of, and Zach, I think you know where I'm going with this. He brought up the issue of one of the characters in Cruella being race swapped. Mm-hmm. And I said it wasn't an issue for me because it was a minor character in a movie that I didn't expect a whole lot from, but I thoroughly enjoyed, and the whole idea of one character's race being swapped didn't diminish my enjoyment of it.
Well, what was the character's name?
Anita.
Well, here's the point I made during the podcast, and I'll just make it real brief, is nobody gives a shit about this character. Nobody's ever heard of this character. Nobody cares.
Exactly.
So what's the big deal? It's like certain people are going out of their way.
That's the thing. When you swap out, when you race or sex swap out a minor character, most people don't give a shit. It's usually some asshole out there doing the exact opposite of what we do. They're trying to nitpick, and they're doing the whole nitpicking thing the way we do it, but they're doing it all for the wrong reasons.
Well, listen,
it's like, okay, we get it. Okay, what was it? The Beauty and the Beast movie had, a lot of minorities in it. Okay, so what? Who cares? It's a fictional movie in France.
Exactly.
Well, here's the deal. I like John, and I've always liked John.
I do too. Yeah.
And I've known him for a while, and I do like him, but it's a minor character. And see, Cruella herself is a dead brand, and yet you're pissed about some little fucking character nobody's ever heard of or nobody ever talks about, right? It's
exactly. Yeah, it's nitpicking for nitpicking's sake. Here's
the
point.
It's a political statement, which bothers me, Ambassador. It seems like a political statement, which is something I'm against. I like to separate those things, and as a matter of fact, I've become apolitical. I don't really care it doesn't really affect me. So I want my entertainment to be what it is, and I don't want somebody bringing in politics into it or bringing in race or culture into it.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. Here's my point about this whole idea of the evolution of pop culture. Pop culture is a abbreviation for popular culture, which can encompass multiple mediums of media. The written word, the painted picture, the celluloid film, or whatever you want to call it, the comic book, the TV show, the movie. Popular culture encompasses all those things. And since the dawn of humanity, since we started telling stories, pop culture, regardless of what its purpose was to explain our origins or to talk about deep philosophical ideas or whatever the case may be, has constantly been evolving as humanity has been evolving. We currently live just let me get this out real quick, Geek, and then
sorry.
No, it's okay. You can have your say. We currently live in an era of humanity and in a sphere of pop culture where we've almost run out of ideas, but yet we haven't, because I feel like there are still ideas, there are still visionaries out there who have stories they want to tell us. And oftentimes pop culture reflects the culture in which it exists. Now, for good or for ill, that is pop culture's purpose, to reflect the mindset of humanity at the time. And the mediums in which we tell these stories are always going to change. And the themes are always going to change as well. And some of them will stay the same. Popular culture is a living, breathing thing. If you do not allow it to grow and to change and to be a true reflection of the culture in which it exists, then it becomes stagnant, it becomes stale, and eventually it dies. And unfortunately, I feel that there are certain sections of society, particularly in the online sphere, who, for whatever reason, whatever motivation it may be, are just wanting to keep everything stagnant because they do not like change, because they view everything through the lens of it being woke or it being SJW or whatever acronym that they want to use. But there is another portion of the online sphere and the other portion of the populace that does not see it that way. And there's this tug of war going on between these two sides about what direction pop culture should evolve in. Mm-hmm. When I say we need to take our hands off the rope and just let pop culture be what it is and let it grow and evolve and let it go in the directions that the people who are telling these stories want to take it in. Then that's my 2 cents. Geek, go ahead.
Whew. I'm going to have a hard time following that one up, but, some years ago, when all this woke shit started coming out, and we felt like people were invading our culture, and then we were getting told, no, you don't understand what's going on in this media. You don't get it. It's like, no, wait a minute, we do. We started reaching out to the community that we are now a part of. Ambassador knows this story quite a bit from me. I started finding people and, we started putting things together and we're finding people like, man, it's like, no, this is not what our community is about. This is not who we are. It was like they were trying to say, well, now we're getting diversity in our community. It's like, wait a minute, we're geeks. We are the most accepting community of, quite frankly, any sub-community you're ever going to find. Because we don't judge you on anything because we know what it's like to be judged in every way, shape, or form. We're the ones who got bullied. We're the ones who's got the thick skin. You come in now, 19 years after the Spider-Man movie came out, and it's like, oh, now you think that shit we loved that used to beat the crap out of us is popular. Thanks. You're welcome. That was us. You're welcome. And then they start wanting to change it. And there's a point to where I'm going here. Now they want to start changing it. Now they want to come into our culture and say, well, we need to have this representation. We need to have this. It's like, okay, what's the purpose of it? Okay, fine. Just make sure, does it have a point to the story? Oh, no. We just got to make sure that they know this person's gay. We got to make sure they know this person's trans. It's like, wouldn't the person be able to figure it out on their own? Oh, no. We got to make sure that they, it's said, so we don't confuse them. It's like, you do understand you're making them a show about geeks with ogres, witches, shit like this. We're pretty good at figuring. No. We got to make sure we dumb it down for the masses. And then they wonder why we all got pissed. Now, circle back here. I've already seen it. I've been seeing the trend going. They're going from where The Dark Knight Returns said, you either die the hero or you live to become the villain. Because we're seeing nothing nowadays from many of the big channels we used to be a part of other than negative. They're not even giving shit a shot. I know people in my section of the community who are just automatically, I hadn't seen Loki yet. And somebody in the community just, he was all crazy, had every kind of theory on the planet. My son and I sat down and watched it. I freaking loved it. Trust me, my review's out there. I thought it was great. And I'm like,
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, and I told my buddy, I was like, you just went out there thinking just straight up hate. You're still thinking hate. You're still thinking, okay, it's Marvel, it's Disney, it's Kathleen Kennedy. Okay, that's the big problem. I understand we can all have a problem with Kathleen Kennedy. That doesn't mean we should punish the rest of the people in those areas of those companies that are actually trying to put out good content for us. Yes, the High Republic sucks. That's on them. But Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, they're trying to give you appeasing content. So We can be disliking Kathleen Kennedy and what's going to the higher ups. But still, that doesn't mean we should, say, oh, Cruella's going to suck or this is going to suck because it's under Disney and Disney is this and blah, blah. Stop generalizing shit.
Mm-hmm.
Take the content, watch it, give it a shot. Keep an open mind. Here's the thing. You can have an open mind and still have reservations. Based on history, that is totally fine. If you have a question about the content based on the history of the previous content, that is totally understandable. That's reservation. But when you go in just thinking closed-minded, you watch it and now say you liked it, but you can't let yourself like it because you did not want to. That is what I'm seeing now. That is infecting our community more. It's gone from the outsiders coming in to now our own people on the inside having become infected with this. And that's my 2 cents.
I just want to add my point because I got to go soon, but I do like the topic, Ambassador, and I would definitely be interested. And I think you and Geek make great points because since I've been a teenager, I've been watching movie talk for the last 10 years on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And 2018, when you started seeing that anti-SJW stuff come out, I think that really changed things. And I'll be honest, I played a role in as far as watching it, not making the videos. I only started my channel one video last year about the Snyder Cut, but for the most part this past year. Mm-hmm. But I used to watch a lot of those channels myself. So for me, it's just I just find it fascinating, and I've grown out of it since then. But this has just been the movie talk culture that has evolved the last few years, and that's a very interesting topic to discuss how it's evolved and should we accept it and ride the ship with it and not judge everything based off one or two things.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, good for you, man. Good for you, George.
Okay, and Zach, I said you could have the next go, but I want to let George go because he does have to leave. So, Zach, the floor is yours.
Yeah, George, it was nice meeting you.
George,
yeah,
you have a good one, bud.
It was nice talking to you guys as well, and I hope to talk to you guys real soon.
All right, take care.
Take it easy, man.
Take care, guys.
Later.
Bye.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Okay.
And well, Zach,
like I said, the floor is yours.
I hope I can express everything. I think you have ideologues on both sides, which is a major concern. I think you have ideologues who are trying to push something. And to be honest with you guys, I think and I don't even like these terms, but I'll use them just because they're so popular, is you have the SJWs and you have the other side of it, like a geeks and gamers type of guy. I think they are equally wrong. And I think they both do the same amount of damage. I honestly do. I think these are people who are trying to push an ideological agenda for their own self-interest, right? And I think in a lot of cases, some of the claims on both sides lack honesty and lack objectivity, right? And I think you're playing to a political party, which is disgusting to me. I'm for a separation of church and state. I'm for separation of church or of entertainment and politics, right? So,
I agree with that.
And when you talk about the fandom, here's my take on it: is we all live in a bubble, okay? And what's the best thing you can do is pop your own bubble. You may be in contact with 60 or 100 people, but that's nothing compared to the greater scheme of things. Is I decided to pop my own bubble, right, and to consider everything and to second guess myself on everything 2 or 3 times, right, and to think about things. So I got caught up, I got swept up in this whole thing, and yeah, I didn't like The Last Jedi either, and I got caught up in it, and I started to feel dirty talking about it. I started to feel like I was an asshole, and I started to get depressed doing videos about it. I ran a channel back when that happened, and actually at the time I was competing. It's no longer there. I deleted it. But I was actually, at the time this first happened, I was competing with Geeks and Gamers. I was at the same level as them, doing the same amount of views. We did millions of views. And I started to feel like I was an asshole. And I started to feel like I was a deceiver because I was taking sides and I had to pick a side. We shouldn't have to pick a side, right? We should be able to go out there and express our own individual opinions, right? So it's important when you have ideas to consider where those ideas came from. Did I come up with those on my own, or was I convinced by somebody else? So that was kind of the road I went down, and I started to take on this Zen approach to it, where I would not express my anger, and I would sort of express my peace, and I would express my strong feelings of forgiveness. And yeah, I may not have liked this or that, but and I'm sure Ambassador knows forgiveness is a big tenet of Christianity and so forth and so on. And
yes, very much so.
And
yes,
holding on to anger and holding on to hatred is really a destructive thing, not just for yourself, but for the people who watch you, which is why I take such issue with some of these guys who are out there saying that these people are trying to take over our culture. They're trying to take over our lives. I don't even know what is our culture. I don't feel ownership. I can't take ownership for culture. I can't take ownership for anything. All I can tell you is that I like what I like. And I don't feel like I own Batman. I don't feel like I own Star Wars. So that's kind of my 2 cents right there
Zach, I will say this. What I meant by that is our culture is, you said, you actually hit it right there where you said, we don't own these things. So that's our culture. Our culture has always been an acceptance of different points of view, of IDIC. You know, that's what our culture has always been about. It's been about those acceptances.
But I don't know who you mean by our, right? You mean your culture, personally. I don't know what you mean by our.
I mean, it's the way I feel our culture has been. Okay.
But who's our?
I can say it's my culture.
Well,
I don't feel I own it. I've always felt like we've been.
But just define that. Clarify that for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just clarify this. What do you mean by our culture? Who is our?
Our geek nerd culture.
But that's very vast. That's very vast.
That's the point. That's the point.
So, you know, you're speaking for yourself and people who agree with you. Not
no. That's what I meant about we are very accepting. That's why I said it's very vast, because we have a vast acceptance of disagreement. But it has gotten now to a point where our disagreements are becoming toxic. And I'm starting to feel like both sides have become to blame.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's why, if I didn't explain that, well, I apologize. That's where I was kind of going with it. That's why I've moved away from certain channels. And you guys don't know this, but when I first started out on, sorry, Ambassador.
Oh, you're all right, buddy.
You guys don't know this, but when I first started out on YouTube, Ambassador was one of my first co-hosts, and we did quite a bit together. And we had a falling out because there was a lot of anger going on. There was a lot of bitterness between me and other panelists. And I started to, and don't take this wrong way, Ambassador, I'm just using it as an example.
Fire the bridge.
We accepted the break. We moved on. We talked back and forth on different occasions.
Mm-hmm.
But we're seeing a trend of just this anger, and that's why I said now it seems like with the people coming in trying to tell us how our culture was supposed to be. And it's like, no, wait a minute. You don't come in and tell us our culture is our culture is this way. And now
just real quick. No, it's okay. Let's not use the term. I'm not trying to restrict you. Don't misunderstand me, but to try and put this on track. Instead of codifying or identifying my culture, our culture, let's just distinguish it as the culture.
Well, it's like if I talk for the American people, it's like, who the fuck am I? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I can't speak for the American people. I can't speak for all Star Wars fans. I can speak for myself and people who agree with me. Right. And again, that's my bubble, which I decided to pop because I thought it was negative. I think hearing your own opinion shot back into your head is a negative thing. I think it's restrictive. And I think when you live inside a bubble, it restricts your view of whatever topic it is. There's no doubt about that.
Well, to kind of, I did a video about a year ago. It'll be a year in August, and it was actually the point of contention where me and certain other parties that Geek and I used to, well, on my end anyway, I'm not sure on his end, that I used to associate with. And I said, one of the things I said within that video is, if all you can do is produce content that is just nothing but bitterness and anger and negativity, and all you're going to do is rail against these studios and everything else, then what good are you doing? Are you really contributing? Are you contributing anything of value to the community and to the culture in which you exist? And one of the things I said, and this was one of the big reasons why I had a falling out with certain individuals that I did. I encouraged people, consider who you're watching, consider who you're supporting, consider the content that you are digesting in the online sphere. And I got major pushback from a couple of individuals or anything who, I don't know what they think of me now, but I've put it past me and I've moved on from it. And it is what it is. But it's still something that I stand very strongly in support of. Because unfortunately, something that I have seen in the online sphere it'll be 2 years in November since I became a YouTuber and I have become a part of the online community. Just in general, not specifically, but just in general, a part of the online community. I have seen a lot of what I deem as dishonest actors or bad faith actors who just want to pump out content that just riles people up and gets them super chatting or join their Patreon or whatever the case may be.
I think I can explain that. I keep your thought, but I think I can explain what you just mentioned. Is I've been in that boat, man. Is when they're paying you thousands of dollars a month. I've been there. You want to keep going, even just because that's what your people want. That's what pays, right? And I had to reject that, and a lot of these guys don't. And I've made a few thousand a month. I've never done what some of these other guys are doing who are making 20 grand a month. So it's a temptation.
Oh yeah.
And it's a reasonable temptation. And I've done a few times where I talked with certain people, where I've seen a lot of people where certain names where when I think I first met them, they were maybe, 1,000, 2,000, and several of them are now in the 200,000-300,000 era. And, you see that and I feel good for them, but I unfortunately don't enjoy the content anymore. The content lost its, unfortunately being that high up, I felt like I've seen a lot of them unable to interact with their fans, which is understandable. I get it. I'm not judging them for being able to, but the quality of the content seems to have degraded to just what the masses want versus what I felt like the originally were trying.
Yeah.
Zach, do you understand
personal.
what I'm?
Yeah. The original videos were personal, right? And then after that, they're catering. Is that what you're saying? I totally agree.
Yes. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Thank you for articulating that for me.
With the initial videos where they go and share their thoughts were personal, and these other ones aren't. So I totally feel where you're coming from. I did a thing with a guy who I basically created his channel for him, as I brought him on when he had like 20 subscribers, and the video I did with him did 300,000 views. and he shot past me, right? Because I shared a spotlight on him. And when I reached out to him, and I did like 10, 15 podcasts with him, when I reached out to him to see if he would help me out, he fucking totally forgot about me. So that kind of shit happens too.
Well,
I remember. Oh, sorry, Ambassador.
No, it's okay. It's okay, Geek. No worries. No offense taken. Some of the parties I had the falling out with, they've blown up. And you know what? Good for them. I'm still saying it I'm saying it 429 subscribers. But, I put the content out that I put out because I talk about the things that I care about and that interests me. I view myself in terms of pop culture as a centrist. I try to give everything a fair hearing. Now, there's certain things that I am very much on one side or another. Yes, there is. I was on a stream a number of months ago with another YouTuber where we debated for almost 2 hours the fact that I felt that the portrayal of Luke Skywalker in Last Jedi was a bastardization and made absolutely no sense whatsoever. And he vehemently disagreed with me. And I tried every single way I could think of to rationalize or my argument to him, and it just was not getting through. But I digress. I tried to give everybody a fair hearing and a fair shake. That's why I chose the name that I did, The Ambassador, or simply Ambassador, because that's what a person of that political standing tries to do. They tried to be a voice for someone that doesn't have one, or they tried to be a voice for a group or a nation or whatever the case may be. If you want to talk about it from the political aspect, that's what an ambassador is. That's why I crafted or branded my channel the way I have. I tried to be a place where everybody can come have a fair hearing and a fair shake, and they can come and listen to me discuss topics that might be of interest to them. It might be unconventional or it might be mainstream, but it's content that I think is appealing. It appeals to me, and I think it appeals to a certain demographic. I mean, obviously, I've got people who do watch my content, and I'm grateful for every single person that does. But I don't take ownership of any aspect of pop culture. It's not mine. It belongs to everyone. Everyone in the world that consumes whatever medium of pop culture or of media that they watch or consume is ours. That is where I think the ours is appropriate. It belongs to the community as a whole, and the community is quite literally the world. It doesn't belong to one particular person. One particular person doesn't own Star Wars. One particular person doesn't own the MCU. One person doesn't own DC or Marvel or whatever the case it may be, because they are all our stories. Now, we might have a personal connection to those stories, and that is fine, because there are many that I have a personal connection to myself. But the thing we have to remember is everyone is going to have a particular perspective on this thing called pop culture. And this whole idea that it has to be saved, that it has to be rescued from these dishonest actors or from these certain portions of our own community is not, to put it simply, it's not accurate. It's not correct. At least from my perspective, it isn't. Don't go ahead, Zach. Please.
Well, I was just going to say this. I mean, I've never met anybody on your show or most of the podcasts I've ever done who fits this description, but you have a certain amount of people on social media who are mentally ill. That's something you have to consider too, is you have a lot of people who are mentally unstable.
Unfortunately, and I think honestly, Zach, you are not inaccurate in that aspect. As someone who was married to a mentally ill person and in a relationship with them for 11 years, yeah, there are people out there doing this, and
they're not in the right frame of mind.
They are mentally ill, and it's sad. But there's nothing. You know what the hardest thing is? You have etiquette, but you try reading an etiquette,
You're right.
Reading etiquette is very hard.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what their real intention is. Because you can't hear inflection.
But like if you listen to somebody for 2 hours, you can kind of piece something together if there's something up,
Generally, yes, I would agree.
Yes.
But it's creepy. It's creepy because you have these people who like, I as a human being, I want the best for everybody. I don't.
Same.
And it's tough. It's tough. But I was trying to hire people for a podcast a while back, and a woman called me up who was very well spoken. So I put out like a casting call. I said, I need some additional podcast hosts and co-hosts and stuff, and people who can do certain things. And I called a bunch of people. Most of them were very nice to me. A couple of them I brought onto it. And then this woman calls me, and she was very sweet, very nice, well spoken. And then she tells me that drones are watching her, and drones are following her around, and they're outside her house. And I was like, oh my God, this person is a lunatic. This person is mentally deranged. And she sounded perfectly fine before she said that.
Unfortunately, it is unfortunate because it is a sad thing to see a person not be in control of their own mental faculties, but it does happen. It's
my grandmother, my great-grandfather, and now my great-uncle, two of them have passed away from Alzheimer's. And my great-uncle is now dealing with that. And yeah, it's like, when I hate to say it, but when they pass, it's almost a relief, because it's like, the person that, they're just not there anymore. And you're like, they can't remember anything. And it's so damn heartbreaking. Those kind of things. And it's a sad thing. And the stigmatism of people with mental health, they're all crazy. It's, they're all crazy people. No, it's just they have something worse than a physical injury. Physical injuries you can see. Mental, you got it. It's
you have to dig.
Yeah, well, it's so complicated. I did want to ask one question. Hey, Zach.
He actually had to step away for a minute.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask him about because he wanted to talking about the Dark Knight Returns. I wondered if he'd be interested in maybe doing a theme together of some of the Batman of that time.
As much, I will tell you, Geek, from what I have seen of Zach's channel and talking with him, he is about as one of the most dedicated and devoted Batman fans as I've ever seen. So yeah, I think he would definitely be in for that. And to kind of steer us back, and we're going to probably wrap up here in a few minutes, fellas, just to let you know. And so
thanks for having me on, buddy. I know it's been a while.
Yeah, well, we're not done just yet. If you want to stick around till the end, you can and everything. But I'm just letting y'all know we're probably gonna wrap up here shortly. Yep. But to kind of preface what you just said in terms of the whole online, the whole pop culture sphere, if you look at a movie, say like Joker, that very much was a indictment of the mental health treatment field that I think was at play during the time of the 1980s, and I think is still to a certain degree prevalent nowadays as well. Now, I'm no expert. I do not know jack about mental illness, psychology, psychiatry, or anything like that. But what Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix were able to do with Joker, while it is I think is a very good comic book movie, it's not a superhero movie or anything of that sort. It does have that sort of that framework within it, sure. But what Joker does is it does put on display how hard it is for people who do suffer from mental illness to function. and the mania that they often go through. And what Joaquin Phoenix did with Joker, I think not only was it just a great piece of acting, I think it really did give a good snapshot, a reasonable facsimile of what a person who suffers from mental illness goes through on potentially a daily basis. So,
well,
Ambassador, that movie Joker, when I saw it, and everybody was freaking out, there was all this crap going on.
Yeah, I know.
My wife, even my wife knew I was going to see the movie. She wanted to make sure I took my gun with me. I was like, of course I got my gun.
Did you?
I have my concealed carry and everything. Well, I have a concealed carry, so I take my gun.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool.
And no, I go watch the movie, and you want to talk about I was spellbound. This movie was such a psychological thriller, and just such a keen into the mind. And at the end of the movie, you're sitting there questioning, how much of this was real? How much of this was in his head? And I want to be, that's why I said I don't want a sequel. I don't want answers to those questions. I want to be able to talk about it for 50 years.
Yeah. Well,
Zach,
can I say this?
Yeah, Zach, go ahead, please. Yeah.
I'm huge on self-improvement. And to me, that's one of the most important things a person can do is just to push themselves. And, I don't think we better the world by trying to join together. I think we better the world by influencing each other to look out for ourselves and to better ourselves, not look out for ourselves in a selfish way, but in the opposite, that becoming the best version of yourself is probably the best thing you can do. And to be a friendly person. I try to be a friendly person, in my life when I talk to people. I don't care who it is. And, that's the best thing we can do, and when it comes to people who are mentally ill, I think what is important is a friendly voice and somebody talking to somebody like that and saying, look, I understand you. And just be honest. Just be honest. Don't feed into these things. Don't be somebody you're not. And I don't know if that would help, but I think a positive approach is always the best thing to do. And even if you don't want to talk to somebody again, you can leave that on a positive note and say, well, thank you for having me. And thank you. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So, well, we kind of went down a rabbit hole on that one, but I think it was
all right.
No, I think it was a good discussion, honestly. I know we covered the main topic, and we had some extra time, and I'm going to be offline for a few days and everything because work's coming. I got work, obviously, and I've got some other things going on in my personal life and everything. But I will say, I know I often don't do super long streams, but with the Saturday night streams getting the response that they have, and it's been a fairly decent response considering everything that I've been doing on there and the topics I've covered and so on, I'm not opposed to doing the longer streams. And I know we're coming up on over 3.5 hours, but I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. I hope you enjoyed the main topic. I hope you enjoyed everything that we discussed. I want to thank my panel. Of course, Zach Cleary, Tyler M., George, obviously, MB Geek. Geek, it's good to have you back, man. I have legitimately missed you, and I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're here. I really am.
I'm glad to have been hanging out with you too, buddy. Hey, Zach.
And I do want to just real quick, and then I also want to thank Leroy Kong for joining us this evening. And I
very nice gentleman, by the way.
Yeah, he is. I met him on a stream a couple of nights ago, and I'm glad he tuned in tonight. So, Geek, go ahead, please.
Oh, Zach, when you mentioned doing the idea of The Dark Knight Returns, would you be interested in maybe doing some series of shows based around some of the best of the Batman comics of that era? Because there's quite a many I could think of that I'd love to discuss with someone.
I know we've been going for a while here, but I would be happy to join you for that right after we get off of here and do the Dark Knight Returns.
Well, I can't do that because I do need to get some sleep.
Oh,
but yeah, trust me. But no, I would love to talk Dark Knight Returns. I would love to talk. I would like to talk Legends of the Dark Knight. Things like Terror, Prey, Nightfall,
Long Halloween.
I wouldn't mind joining that one because that's one of my all-time favorite stories.
Mask of the Phantasm is a good one.
Yeah. I'm talking. I would love to be having. Maybe if we could set up time, Ambassador, you'd be welcome too. Anybody else would be. But Zach, let's get together and let's talk about a time and maybe a date.
Well, the way to contact me is Twitter. It's right there on the screen here.
Yeah.
Geek. I know you follow me. I follow Zach. So that's his Twitter handle there. The real Zach Leary. So, Tyler, you've been quiet for a few minutes, but I'm gonna let you have the last word before we close out.
No, everything about that was very interesting. I was very impressed with everything that you said, Zach. I was like, I have to take a step back, at times too, and just kind of. Let it, because I question myself on a lot of these things too, like all the different opinions all the time. So I'm just like, I just take a step back, and I was really glad that you what you said about that. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of how I feel most days. I just have to take a step back and just kind of really reevaluate and assess everything that's happened. So I just wanted to say that, and going off, I guess. It was great being on this panel here tonight, and I really appreciate you having me on, Ambassador. Tim Burton's a very, very, very strong director that actually got me into want to make movies and stuff like that, and he's just that. It was just his style, man. It's very, very impacting for a young kid when I was at the time. So. Tim Burton will always be one of my favorite directors of all time, just because of his artistic ability and creative ability.
Likewise.
It may be a hit or miss with him, but you know what? His style was always unique.
Yep, 100% agree with you.
That you can love. That's why I always say he's hit or miss, just because some styles we all like, some styles. We didn't like, but damn it, if you can't, but damn it, if there ain't even on the ones we don't like, you still got to give him respect for what he was attempting.
Yep, absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that.
My wife taught me a phrase when we first met, and a little while after we first met, and I think it's very apropos here. Can't never did anything that tried did. Essentially, it means those who at least try put themselves out there in the world, but the Caints, they never did anything but stay home and sit in their basement and scream into the void. I'd rather associate with the tries than the Caints. That's me.
For me, I can be a bit prickly at times, but I think I think I expressed most of them, or just in general, I think I usually explain myself at least okay.
Zach, that wasn't a rebuttal of anything you said tonight by any means.
No, I didn't think it was. I'm just explaining my last thoughts on this. I try and be friendly, but I don't use my friendliness to deny what I believe in. Right. So if I believe in something, I'll let you know. But if I'm at the store or something and the cashier's being a jackass, it doesn't bother me, right? And I try to be friendly to everybody I meet. So
yeah,
for me, the main thing is self-improvement, right? When it comes to that final topic we had tonight, and it's so important. You feel better when you're going down that road, and when you're being a good person, it just feels better. And we've all had mistakes and so forth over the years, but friendliness, it's more difficult to be an asshole than it is to be a nice person.
I would say that's at least partially true. Yes, because I know some people that can be outright assholes and they thrive at it.
Well, there's a funny term called asshood. Asshood is different from being an asshole, which maybe I have asshood, which is a great term, which is asshood. You're being an asshole when it's needed, right?
Yes.
For a purpose.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. So, well, anyways, folks, we're gonna go ahead and close out. But again, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you to my panel. I will be back Friday night, 5:30 Central Time, with the Council of Ones as we continue our review of Babylon 5 with the episode from Season 3, Shadow Dance. So I will see you all then. Make sure you go follow these fellows on social media: Zach Leary, MB Geek, Tyler M, or Lord Tyler of M. I had a hard Tyler. I was trying to tag you the other day for the stream, for when you were on my stream. I was like, why is this not coming up? And then I found you, and somebody else was like, oh, so that's why he calls himself on Twitter. So I finally found you. But also to George and to Leroy Kong, thank you all for being here tonight. As always, smash that like button, share this out with your friends.
Last thing, Ambassador, I turned down a dinner to be here tonight. That's how much I wanted to be here.
Well, now I feel guilty. Now I feel like I owe you dinner.
You don't owe me a dinner. No, I'm very happy I came here. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Zach, anytime. So anyways, folks, you have a great night or day wherever you're at. And until next time, these are the Ambassadors signing off.